hata ulikuanga na wajuku kadhaa. Perhaps, maybe, I don't know. Yes, but in 1996, the divorce of Prince Charles and Princess Diana was finalized. In 1189, and this is the last one, the Crusaders began the siege of Acre during the Third Crusade. Whatever that is, I don't know. Oh yeah, no, there's one very important one that changed the history of what is nowadays known as Turkey. Ottoman Turks occupied Belgrade. This is 1521. None of us was alive in 1521, and if you were alive, then chances are you're a vampire. Yes.
So
those are the significant days in history today, dating back centuries. But the one that obviously caught my attention is that one about Martin Luther King, which really shaped a lot of what we see as far as American democracy is concerned. And the civil rights movement all over the world was shaped by some of those events that actually happened in the United States of America. City.
Yes, unataka proverb.
Nakupa sasa tupatie proverb kwa Kiswahili ni methali, si ndio?
Methali baba. Kuna methali moja naipenda sana hii.
Yasema vipi?
Yasema hivi. It is better to eat mushrooms in freedom than to eat meat in slavery.
It is better to eat mushrooms in freedom than meat in slavery. You know, both are very delicious. Both are very nutritious.
But mushrooms are not meat. Just weka hiyo kwa kichwa.
Kwani lazima tukule nyama?
No. Let me repeat what I've just said so that you understand.
Okay.
Mushrooms are not meat.
Weka hiyo kwa kichwa.
Just here too. Then sema what?
You know, I haven't had meat in the last 1 week deliberately.
But
trying new, diets. Yeah.
If you look at most of our diets as Africans,
yes,
we're actually vegetarian.
Are we?
We were.
Oh, we were.
Meat was ceremonial. You ate meat when there was something significant. That's when ulikuwa unachinja because meat was fresh. Kulikuwa kuna butchery.
Na kuna fridge kitambo.
Kuna unachinja, unakula, unafunga
hiyo store.
Or unaikausha.
All
right?
Yes.
But the point is, if you look at our history, meat was always associated with some form of ceremony.
True.
Yes.
Even growing up, kwetu tulikuwa tunakula kuku wakati maybe it's a Sunday, tumeenda church, tumerudi, Christmas. My dad used to bring fish on Fridays. Those were some of the significant things I remember. And that is why for me, kuku and fish, I think I carry that tradition. Nyama tulikuwa tunakula daily, lakini kuku ilikuwa ngani, mkiona father ameleta kuku, kuna kitu imefanyika hiyo siku ama itafanyika.
And what did you eat the kuku with?
Chapati.
Now that was considered a serious delicacy.
Yeah.
In fact, you'd find children dancing and telling any visitor. I remember some cousins of mine, I would visit them when I was in the university. They tell me they are dancing today, we're eating chicken and chapati.
Yeah. I remember even in our neighborhood now. Ulikuwa unapata the kids in the hood. Wakijua mnapika chapati kwenu. That day your friends. Even that enemy that you have in the hood, he might not talk to you, but he will stick around the boys that are around you. Because anajua leo kwa kina Mbuvi kunapikwa chapati. And we used to share that chapati. Actually, my mom would make lots and lots of chapati because alikuwa anajua watoto watakuja hapa na hiyo chapati itaisha and we might not get enough for the family. So she would cook excess. Ndio wagawe wenye wanakula wakule. So I remember them days when, like on a Friday, tulikuwa tunaketi pale kwa gate with my brothers waiting for dad to bring fish. Yeah, because that's how significant for us it was a big deal. And around our area fish ilikuwa inapatikana tu place moja, Dagoretti Corner. We used to live in Ngando, which is opposite Ngongresco. So sorry. Fish ilikuwa inauzwa tu one place in that entire area. So it's not a meal you'd have on a daily. Nowadays fish is everywhere. You literally can walk into any neighborhood and find a fish at any time of the day. So it was an amazing experience. Awesome experience. All right. That proverb about slavery and but to be honest though, back in the day slavery was a big deal.
Back in those days, slavery was a big deal, and it is the commercialization of slavery is what brought about all these negative aspects that we now know, and we paid more attention.
Yes.
And when it became part of the international trade, that's when now it got international attention. But even among our own communities, we practice slavery.
Yeah. We actually sold people to the Arabs and to the white people.
Yes, but before the whites and the Arabs came along, when there was conflict between communities, people who were taken as hostages would end up being slaves. Yes.
I thought, I knew slavery was there because tulifunzwa GHC. But also something I remember is the fact that communities would raid each other for wives.
They would raid each other for cows as well.
Yeah. So cattle rustling, women, and of course slaves.
And there were communities that were notorious for being warlike.
Okay.
Yes.
Such as?
There were communities that essentially the warlike nature of the communities was, again, because of resources. Cows. Cows grazing on what they considered their land. Okay. The communities that were known to be more warlike were usually the pastoral communities.
Yes. So the Maasais, the Kalenjin.
Yes. The Somalis.
The Turkanas.
Yes.
Samburu.
The
Borana.
Just and some of them to date have continued with that tradition. Where you find, for instance, among the Somali community, the constant warring that you hear, for instance, in Marsabit, you will not hear in their communities. But if you look at how, I mentioned this yesterday, how they've gone and changed themselves. They are pastoralists, yes, but they have become commercial giants, a commercial force. And they're now moving into industry. You see them in the in the construction sector.
Right.
Now you see, the moment people have other occupation and young people get educated and also get into this, it is the young people who would be engaged in this fighting. You find that story of fighting just seems to disappear.
Yeah.
If you go to the Kerio Valley, you go to those areas around the Baringo, Tahiti, and all those areas. Part of the problem when you hear that they are bandits is you will find that many of them parted ways with education a while back.
Okay.
They are young, but they have not bothered. With education and with an alternative source of income, things like banditry die.
True.
Because people do not now need to earn a living through those means.
Yeah.
Yes.
You've learned other ways of doing trade.
I'm simply saying you just need to look, and you will find that places where people have learned to trade and to do business, you do not find that sort of animosity that is brought about by banditry. It doesn't exist.
True story.
And all those communities have young people. But the reason is because those young people have something to do.
Do you like mushrooms?
Mushrooms are very lovely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Delicious, eh?
Oh, they're lovely.
I'll give you a recipe one of these fine days. Actually today, remind me.
Give me a recipe?
Yeah, recipe of mushrooms.
Recipe of mushrooms.
And peanuts, na rice.
Peanuts?
Yes, peanuts.
Njugu?
Okay. Njugu, but if you prefer cashew nuts also, hiyo ni sawa. They're expensive, yes. They are expensive. You do realize they're expensive, but still very delicious. Haya, sawa. Tuingie katika mtandao wetu wa rgk.co.ke. In case you're new to the station, this is what we usually do. We usually have that kabanta in the morning, and then we get into that very important segment where we check out some of the trending stories in the last couple of hours, and I can assure you that you'll find all the top stories, including worldwide, not just in Kenya, on our website that is radiogenerationkenya.co.ke, abbreviated as rgk.co.ke. And the first story you're going to see here, which is 8 minutes old, former county officials tell Senate of money requests allegedly by Governor Mutai. We do know that Kericho Governor Mutai has been in some hot soup and a hot seat, actually, as far as his impeachment is concerned. Kericho Governor Eric Mutai is facing serious allegations in the Senate over claims that he pressured county officials to hand him money, with witnesses saying the demands were tied to keeping their positions. Former employees told lawmakers that the governor used his office to intimidate and humiliate staff, often insisting on financial contributions for personal or official purposes. Guy. Edna Tanui, a former member of the County Executive Committee, told the Senate that she sent a total of 1.5 million over 2 years to meet the governor's repeated requests. Tanui and other CECs were dismissed on December 23, 2024 via an announcement on the governor's official Facebook page with no explanation other than a reorganization of the administration. We know that these things happen because we have seen it being insinuated in movies. We have read it in books. We have read it in newspapers. It's just that we never had any evidence, and we still do not have evidence because this is an ongoing process. But Bwana City Muga.
Yes, please.
Yesterday, you remember something Ali said here that I don't know whether he said it on or off air, but he said, being a governor, sometimes people just come to you with money. You don't even ask for it. It just comes to you. Someone comes and tells you, hey, Wana Governor, I need a tender for this, Wana Governor. I need a permit for this, Wana Governor. I need to put up this building in this particular area, and I need these approvals. And money, I think he said that a governor can earn even 50 million just by sitting, doing nothing in his office.
What is interesting is one hears of such stories.
Yes.
There are specific ministries in this country that are associated with stories of that nature. And the moment you're appointed CS, money comes to you. You do not look for it.
Yes.
No, you don't. It's not as though you've gone and
solicited.
No,
it just finds you.
No. You are told that this is just for you, Mzee. This is just greetings.
Thank you for giving me your time.
Yes, for welcoming you, just for coming to this ministry. This is us telling you thank you.
Karibu sana.
And I haven't heard stories alongside that tell that speaks of people asking, okay, so where exactly is this money from? That I've never heard. I've just heard of people coming to thank you for being the CS, for the president having appointed you. Yes. So you receive.
So this is a gift.
It comes as a gift.
Yes.
And believe me, you would have to look at ministries where that doesn't happen, because from what people say, I haven't personally seen any proof to support this. But the things people say in this country are very many. But that is some of the things they say.
Sasa, if this is the case that Kericho governor, and I hope they will produce evidence, because kama for example Edna Tanui amesema she gave a total of 1.5 million over 2 years to meet the governor's repeated requests.
She probably has evidence.
So are we talking about statements or M-Pesa statements? Are we talking about
she probably has
photos?
Evidence. By the time somebody is talking that confidently, they probably, again the word probably, have. But one of the things that I've often seen, just like you find vultures circulating around an animal that seems like it's about to die, they can sense. In the same way, when you're already in the doghouse, the number of people who will now come out with stories about your misdeeds, there's never a shortage of those stories. And this has just begun. But the real reason why they don't want him will not be what you're hearing. In any political arena, the thing that I have seen over time, which is always consistent, it is not the person's inability to manage. No. It is not his high-handedness. It's money. Money is often at the center of all these disagreements.
Kwa sababu Mr. Nui hapa alikuwa anapeana hiyo pesa ya nini?
Hiyo pesa kwanza alitoa wapi?
Ndio uweze kupatia governor 1.5 million
over 2 years. So ulikuwa unamgawanyia mshahara. Okay, how much are you paid?
Ni nini ulikuwa unampatia
kupa? What were you doing?
What was your request?
Yes, exactly, because was that money to smooth the way for something? What was it? You see, many of these stories, even when you look at the headlines, I'm going to be questioning the same. I get the impression I'm listening to half the story, even a quarter of it. But what pleases the individual who's highlighting it is what is highlighted. And you ask, okay, we've heard. But what else is there behind this particular story? What else are we seeing? See? Since the president talked about corruption, and since there has been mention of them dealing with it and a task force that is being set up, which is going through the normal court process before it can be told, okay, continue, all right? Corruption issues being reported in the papers have increased. It's like people seem to have gotten the freedom to speak. And And the president keeps speaking a little more about this and saying, okay, if this happens, this is what we'll do. The thing is, speaking about dealing with corruption is something we hear all the time. As to what has been done, that's where, if I may use a Kiswahili phrase, kuna pungufu mahali.
Yeah.
Because if one witnessed it, then there would be no need to talk about it. You would see, you would know. That statement that we had 2 weeks ago,
it's true.
We are seeing it. If you see the actions being taken, then you'll know that it was meant. But if what was said is repeated, then yeah, we heard you the first time. We are now waiting to see, because our papers are full of allegations of scandals. Okay? And what we hear next is investigations taking place.
Yeah.
Why don't we get to hear as to what follows thereafter? Scanty.
Kidogo ndio tujuangi.
Yes, it's a trickle. Okay?
So, Kericho governor might get impeached, by the way, if this evidence is proper. Now, according to this lady, Edna Tanui, she explained that while only 300,000 of that money was directly deposited into the governor's M-Pesa account, the remaining 1.2 million was handed over in cash through his personal aides, Robinson Kiplagat and Reni Kipsang Ngetich.
That one won't go anywhere.
Yeah.
That's her word against theirs.
But at least the 300 is whatever.
But the question will have to be asked, what are you giving the money for?
Because
that has to be asked, because
governor anaweza sema alikuwa ananilipa deni yangu.
Even if there's a favor you wanted,
yes,
then you, the giver, you've engaged in some corrupt activities.
Right. But how she was fired, the worst they can do now to her is probably arrest her and charge her for corruption while she was in office.
Being fired, these are two separate issues. What were you doing giving money to a public officer?
Okay.
What was the money for?
While also being a public officer.
Yourself. I mean, what is the money for? Okay? Because when you accuse somebody,
yes,
you must understand that you're opening a complete Pandora's box again. And other issues that you may not particularly want to come out in the open may come out in the open. Yes.
Wacha wamenyane. If bad, even ndio tunasema kwetu. Not former, but from streets to ballot, Boniface Mwangi eyes 2027 presidency. So in case this news imekupita hivyo, Boniface Mwangi, a vocal human rights activist known for his unwavering stance on justice and accountability, has officially declared his intention to vie for the presidency in the 2027 general elections. The announcement was made during Katiba Day commemorations held on Wednesday at Ufungamana House in Nairobi. Mwangi, who has long been a critic of poor governance and corruption, used the occasion to invite Kenyans to reflect on the country's 15-year journey since the constitution was promulgated in 2010. He described his presidential bid as a step towards ushering in a new chapter for the country. I remember Boniface Mwangi ran for MP. Was it Starehe? I think it was Starehe. Yes. And he lost to Jaguar.
He did.
Sasa, you know me, I honestly, I can see that we have very many potential presidents, to be honest. From Boniface Mwangi to David Maraga and the very many others that are running for president. Okiya Mtata. But people are saying that kuna ule jamaa alikuwa hapa juzi. The gentleman, what did he say?
Which gentleman?
Mutai, when he was here, he said, yes, that Titus, yeah, he said something to do with the Maraga bid. Oh my goodness! But the picture he was trying to paint was that Maraga would be an ideal president, but Kenya is not ready for that ideal president.
Actually, why do we keep saying we're not ready? What is it that would need to happen for us to feel that we are ready?
I think it's our voting patterns that they refer to. Because they say, and he actually referred also to Peter Kenneth, that he said, tulipenda Peter Kenneth tukamchocha mpaka tukamwambia, you guy, you are our next guy. You are next preso. Only for us at the ballot to fail him and fail him terribly.
You know,
yeah,
if you look at presidential bids in this country, it starts with an individual, and for you to be even credible in my eyes,
yeah,
beyond the messaging, you needed to have a support base that guarantees you certain votes. Meaning, there's a seal of approval already from your backyard. The people who speak your language.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, if they approve of you, people feel, well, his people approve of him. If you've been in the game long enough, you'll have gotten other people who are not necessarily in your backyard who believe in the things that you do also. So you get a number of people, okay? And the major parties in this country right now have had that. If you want to stand as an independent and you have none of those, then you're already handicapped before you even begin. That's one. Two, we have ensured that the politicking for political positions involve the spending of a great deal of money. And Parliament has resisted what the Constitution first indicated. The Constitution had come with a cap, just so that you understand. That's the first thing that was bastardized. And I'm using the word deliberately, completely. So we don't really have a cap as such. So you can just spend and spend and spend and spend and spend. Okay? Now, what we spend the money on is something that we need to look at and ask, why do you need so much money? And what is it for? What are the repercussions? I don't treat kindly the assertions that I hear from politicians saying, oh, we know this salary increases, the perks that we keep increasing. It's because people keep asking for money. Oh, get lost. You have gotten people used to receiving money because it is you who started that trend. The people didn't start the trend, you did. So you have no leg to stand on. What are you complaining about? If you have a deficit in your thought process and you cannot find a way of getting your people to understand what you do for them, and all you do is show them that every time you appear, you give them money, my friend, that's your fault. We have examples. There are not many in this country, but there are people who are notorious for not giving money. They find ways of spending money in the community, but they don't give you money. And those people are in positions of authority because they've been elected. So it tells you people understand that if someone's actually doing what he's supposed to do, they don't have to give you money because they're making your lives better. Now, when we talk about a presidential race,
yes,
this is my view. With the last elections in 2022, there was a change. The change was the issues that was brought by UDA and their campaign. Hustler, dynasty.
Yeah.
It wasn't tribal. You may say what you like, but it wasn't tribal.
Yeah.
But that's all they did. It boils down to sloganeering because beyond saying that, we saw support for it, meaning people are inclined towards these non-tribal issues, the detribalizing of issues. People are for it. You can see that. A sizable number went in that direction. Now, the question that you want to ask is, of all these people who want to be presidents, what is it that they're presenting in terms of their narrative that will convince Kenyans that their lives will be better under their presidency?
Good question. And I'm sure once Maraga gives us a proper manifesto, we might be able to judge it against any other manifesto that any other candidate will have. But again, I will refer to how Americans do their thing because fortunately it's something that many people would also recognize. For instance, we have two major parties, that is Democrats and the Republicans. Now, these people have their primaries where they battle it out, eventually have a candidate who will run for president. And most of the times, it's not always the same person who did it last year or the previous election rather. And what that does, if let's even say we had UDA, UDA and ODM doing something similar, and we forget any other party that we have, yeah. If we had that situation whereby Maraga and Okia and Boniface Mwangi and who else? And Kalonzo and Martha Karua and DCP leader Rigiji Wote, they battle it out, then we get the best two at the very top. I think for me that would be the best thing that would happen to this country.
You think so?
I think so.
Why?
Because right now, as it is, come voting day, we might end up having 6 to 7 candidates, vying. And yes, it might look like a good thing because we have 7 options. But I wish that we would have the chance to eliminate some of the bad ones before they even get to the 7. Because Kenyans, unfortunately, given the chance, they always vote for the wrong batch.
You know, my view differs from yours on that one.
Because if the parties themselves would get it, because the parties can, if they wanted, They can decide, look, City, you're not going to run for president because you've been president for the last 5 years or 10 years or whatever time, na hakuna kitu umefanyia wa Kenya.
Wishful thinking.
Yes?
Political parties around the world have their owners.
Exactly.
Some countries, the ownership is corporate.
Okay.
There are people who are in there who will be more powerful than us, but it's corporate in the structure, and you can even see how they go about it. But it's corporate.
I think I would consider the American one corporate.
It's corporate.
Yes.
Around the Western world, it's corporate. It's actually very corporate.
Yes.
In the African context,
it's personal.
Yes, exactly.
Hii ni ya City.
Yes.
Na City akisema ndivyo amesema.
Yes, yes. Remember we used to talk about briefcase contractors.
Yes.
It is owned. Now, once that is the reality of our political parties, you want to ask yourself, when they decide who it is who's going to vie or who is going to be fronted, okay? What criteria do they use? And usually, what is assumed or what people say anecdotally is that it is the person whom the leader feels they want to give the job. Quite simply. Okay? Now, that is the reality of our politics as it is spoken.
Yeah.
So now, in such a situation, is there a guarantee that the person who ends up being nominated by the party for whatever seat and who ends up probably getting elected, because if the political party has strength in an area, once you're in that party, you're guaranteed.
Yeah.
More or less.
Yes.
There are changes here and there, the independent people who sneak through. But by and large, that is how it works.
Yes.
Now, you tell me, if that is the situation and you are someone who wants to stand for the presidency, where on earth are you going to get your support from? Which is this group that is going to marshal the support behind you?
Perhaps help me understand the question better. When you say which is this group, what do you mean?
Our political parties have tribal bases that support the leaders.
Oh, yes, yes.
If you want to come in as a candidate and you want to vie for the presidency, where is your support base?
Now, and this is where the politics will change if the parties go the way I'm thinking. If they go corporate, yes? If they go corporate, that means that everyone will have a stake in this party. Whether you're Kamba, Jaluo, Kikuyu, Kisii, Borana, or Somali. The point is, you have a stake. You remember the shareholding that Rigiji was talking about? You literally have a share in your party. So that means when the party has agreed, and you will be part of that process that agrees that this is going to be our candidate, and the other side also agrees, because even them, they will have a similar corporate structure that ensures that even your tribe in that particular area, in one way or another, their vote is represented. So if they agree that another individual, let's say Patricia Wayua, is going to be the presidential candidate in that particular place, because they have seen that she is the best placed person, and on this other side, we have seen that it is Brian Odur that is capable of running the country. And I know you're laughing because you're not expecting Brian Odur. But if we agree and we see that it is Brian versus Patricia, then the whole country will have a better, will be sober enough to see, okay, now we only have two horses in this particular situation, and they are the best of the best, and we have got to make a choice.
And you see that happening in this country?
I want it to happen. I really want it to happen, because we have really good candidates, awesome candidates. People, I feel they might fail me when they get to the position of president, but I honestly feel, given the chance, we might refine it. We might not get it right in this particular election. We might end up electing Boniface Mwangi, and perhaps he might end up disappointing us. I don't know. But if he does what he has to do, then the next time, the next person who takes over from him might have a better chance of making this country better.
You know, if you ask me, politicians have spoken of the Gen Z, and they've seen them as a force that could bring about change.
Yeah.
On that subject, I agree with them. The only place I differ with them is they're an untested force. If a plan could be marshaled that Gen Zs agree with, numerically a majority agree with, and they have a strategy that clearly seeks to put people into positions of authority in parliament, and they do the numbers, they do the maths and say, if we have this number of people, we will then be in a position to have the control we need. You don't really need to be president. No. You just need to have people who, you know, when they get into that parliament, they will do they will use the power the constitution gives to parliamentarians to actually change the country.
Yeah.
The change you're talking about will come about. But will they coalesce?
You know,
will they have that discussion?
You know, the Gen Zs are not the only youth in this country. We still have millennials who are equally as young.
You know, for me, Gen Z is everybody who's young. Just let me explain to you.
Okay.
Just like generically, when I say Uber, I mean taxi.
All right. But so for the sake of also the listener, you know, we have the millennials, then we have the Gen Zs, and we have Gen Alphas who in another 4 to 6 years my daughter in 6 years will be 18 and she will be eligible to vote. So in another 6 years, Gen Zs, Gen Alphas, like the youth population is going to be proper.
Let's then call it the youth population
yes.
as opposed to the Gen Z.
Yes.
Because that seems to speak of a certain category of young people.
Okay.
Youth.
So the youth, and like you've said, probably untested to some extent.
Probably. They are completely untested when it comes to voting.
To some extent.
When it comes to voting patterns,
yeah.
they are untested. They are completely untested in this regard.
Yeah.
The last election was the first time we saw 8 million people not voting, the majority of whom were young
youth,
people.
Yes.
Okay? Test number one. Now, call it a pilot.
Yeah.
Now, we've had the movement that people refer to as a revolution.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Revolutions bring about change. This one did bring change, meaning an awareness is change. Now, how they grow that to the point where they are a power to reckon with when it comes to the numbers of people who are voting, that is untested.
True. So let's give it 2 years. Like literally 2 years to the month.
No, 2 years is too long. For you to craft a narrative and to sell one which will actually work and convince people, it requires a little more time. Because all these young people, believe me, these political parties all have young people. All. Okay? When I raise these issues, because I'm not certain that there are enough independent-minded people among this group of people who will be able to focus on what they can do as a unit.
Yeah.
From what I have seen, they will align themselves with these political parties that exist.
Let's not also forget that majority of these young people, some of these young people rather, will actually take up positions within their political parties. And other parties are yet to be formed. So currently we have roughly 30-something political parties. Maybe by voting day, they might be 40 or more. So let's wait and see, because I am certain the youth will take up proper positions. And I'm talking about MCA, I'm talking about governors, I'm talking about senators, I'm talking about MPs, I'm talking about women rep. Mutashanga. Hiya, let's get into a little bit of traffic before we get into the newspaper review.
Traffic.
Very good morning to you. It's now 6:35 in the AM. I'm looking at hii map imenipeleka wapi sasa? Oh yeah, here we are. Ilikuwa imenipeleka matu. But I'm looking at the map of Nairobi County right now. Things are not looking bad for you guys. If you're heading towards if you're coming from Mulolongo and heading towards town, the roads are looking clear for you. Well, I was driving down to work actually. I left a little bit of a traffic situation around GM. Kulikuanga na lori hapo imestall.
Again?
Yes. Yeah. Ilikuwa imestall too. It was just stalled.
Yes.
Not broke. I think it was broken down, but not an accident.
What is it about that place and cars stalling and having
those trucks? And that is why walijengewa ICD. I don't know why they use Mombasa Road. I don't understand why they use the main highway. They shouldn't. Walijengewa and the bypasses. They have bypasses they can use. Why they are still insisting on using the main roads, I have absolutely no idea.
They need to be directed. You see, certain things need to be enforced. Maybe this is one of them.
They do it at night when cops are not around or active. They hope that by the time cops are on the road, they are not there. And then, unfortunately, a truck breaks down, and then now they have problems. Speaking of which, we have a problem at Muthaiga Square. When you're coming from Mathare Teaching Referral Hospital, that is on Thika Superhighway. Also coming from Kiambu Road, kuna a little bit of traffic. But everything else seems to be moving. An incident on the road you think I should know? Please, holler at a brother.
Traffic on Radio Generation.
Let's take a look at our newspapers this morning. Na kama kawaida nitaanza. I'm looking at the Business Daily. How Kenya pipeline auction will fuel 500 billion NSC gains. Good story here. CMA tips boss to breach 3 trillion mark on IPO. Treasury seeks 100 billion from sale of stake in Kenya Pipeline Corporation. I don't know if it's you or someone else who mentioned KPC to me, and they were saying that this is going to be a big deal.
Well, if you look at the standard on page 2, petroleum workers, there's something called a Kenya Petroleum Oil Workers Union. They've taken a case to court.
Yeah, they don't want it to be sold.
They said the key to. They are claiming that it's opaque. The whole process is opaque.
Oh, it's not about it being sold. It's just the process that is opaque.
Yes. This matter went to Parliament, remember?
Yes.
The parliamentarians laid down a raft of issues they said must be in that deal. One of them, workers must be shareholders. Okay? The majority shareholding in that setup must be the government. You can't have a private entity owning more shares because petroleum and fuel, that is also a security issue.
Yes.
Okay? It comes with a security component for the nation. And they also said that whoever it is that is going to be that particular other shareholder can't be one. No. It has to be more than one entity owning small bits.
Yeah.
So that, in essence, the largest shareholding still remains the government and the people, hence the workers. So that matter has not been decided by Parliament because it went there. So let's say Parliament is in recess. So probably when they come back, we'll be able to see exactly what it is they will say on this particular matter.
Actually, let me just read a bit of it. In SMAV, the capital markets regulator is forecasting that the sale of 65% stake in Kenya Pipeline Company through an initial public offer will fuel an estimated 500 billion gain in the market value of the Nairobi Securities Exchange. The Capital Markets Authority told 2 parliamentary committees on August 12th that the sale looks set to grow the market value of NSE above 3 trillion. That is 3 trillion Kenyan shillings. Now, the projected jump in value is linked to KPC's entry into the market and increased demand for other counters from investors brought to the bourse by the IPO. Currently, the NSE has a market capitalization of approximately 2.5 trillion. With a listing of KPC, this figure is projected to rise by at least 100 billion, bringing it to around 2.6 trillion. Even before accounting for the broader market reaction to such a positive development, said the Capital Markets Authority CEO Wycliffe Shamia. This is actually going to be very interesting to see. KRA removes manual tax filing for salaried workers. Ati?
Read it, please.
The Kenya Revenue Authority has spared salaried workers from having to file annual tax returns manually following the integration of the internal systems, easing the compliance headache. Salaried workers will now be required to key in their national identification number into their taxman system, which will automatically fill the annual income data required when filing for annual returns, including the gross pay and taxes. The new filing model will apply to workers whose sole source of income is employment and those with tax-free income of below 24,000 monthly who file nil returns. I'm happy because that thing is tedious. Do you file your tax?
Yes.
Yourself, or do you have someone do it for you?
No. I never bother to do things that other people can do better than me. I get other people who are trained and know how to do it.
Yes.
It makes my life so much easier.
I do it. But every single year, I have to go through a tutorial because I forget.
As I said, I do not do those things myself.
Every single time I have to file my tax, I file my taxes, yes, but every time I file my returns, I have got to go through a tutorial because I keep on forgetting how I did it the previous year.
Why don't you just ask the person who gives the tutorial to do it for you?
It's an online tutorial. I usually just go on YouTube and
so
check.
You end up filing.
I could file down the file.
Then you don't know.
But it's because I have to play YouTube on my TV, open my laptop, then start going through that process. And for me, I have multiple sources of income, so it's never an easy process because I have to do the P9 and then I also have to do the withholding taxes, and then it's a process.
Who told you to have multiple sources of income?
Sasa unataka nisote?
No. I'm just telling you to stop complaining.
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that it's a tedious process.
Of course it's tedious.
It's a and sometimes you will log in and find
even the making of this money is tedious. So
yeah, Apple need tedious.
So it's very tedious. So you think the filing is going to be less tedious?
But I enjoy the making of the money part. I love my work.
Then why don't you have a whole year to learn how to enjoy the feeling of
the filing?
Yes. Whoa.
Kinisiti unakwanga tuna shida. Unaweza taka kuona ukidili na watoto wako na dealing nao aje.
I'm just really raising the question because one, you're doing a good thing. It means you are exercising the faculties that you have to the fullest.
Yes.
And then the government comes to you to demand and ask, this is what we'd like you to do. The steps you take are excellent because you're training yourself to understand how KRA go about their business.
And then you know the funny thing is, when you're filing, when you make a mistake in the filing, at the very end, when you're about to validate your filing, it tells you of a mistake, and you're like, if you know my mistake, why are you making me go through this process?
But they would not know until you get there. They
even tell you the amount of they even tell you, for example, you've declared 10,000 as your withholding. They're like,
it's not.
It's actually 25,000, and you're like, na nini tunasumbuana kama mnajua hii amount? Si munieke huko tu na history ishe.
So you want to tell KRA how to do their job, isn't it?
Yes, actually I do.
Precisely. Now, the point is, get somebody who knows this thing better than you do. See, me, that headache that you have, me, I don't have.
But you see, that person will need to be paid.
Pay them. Create employment, Chief.
See, that's the problem, Chief.
What's the problem?
I don't want to say it on air.
You see,
I'll switch off the mic and tell you.
There's a point I'm trying to make here. There's a point I'm trying to make here.
Yes.
I respect other people's professions.
Yeah.
Okay? And that is the reason why I will go to people who are trained in a particular field to help me understand certain things. Once they've explained to me that only, and I've understood, then I leave them to go through the process. So if you ask me, I can tell you exactly what happens.
Yes.
But I'm not going to go through it.
Yeah.
No.
It's a headache.
No, it's not that it's a headache. My time is better spent doing things that I do well than that I don't do well. I don't need to know how to do it. I just need to understand how it's done and what it's done.
And that's it.
That's it.
But now here they've said at the last sentence that I read, the new filing model will apply to workers whose sole source of income is employment and those with tax-free income of below 24,000 monthly. Yeah, so I'm definitely exempt from this. Hapa siyuko, so I still have to manually fill my returns.
Taxation is logical.
Hii kitu ni kazi mingi.
It's not voodoo. It's logical. And it is not for no reason that people are trained to understand these things.
Exactly.
And they spend time to understand these things.
So why mbona wanatusumbua? Mimi nilifanya biotechnology in campus. Mbona ninasumbuliwa kufanya kazi ya accountants?
Who told you to do biotechnology?
Bro,
when you're doing biotechnology, do you think they didn't have accountants or commerce? You were in that college that you're going to. Why didn't you study those things?
Gazeti yako inasema nini?
The Nation headline, I used to say, bang in the middle of this particular paper, new bid to amend the constitution. Right. Lively things are happening. On the 15th anniversary of the constitution, politicians revived the campaign to amend the charter, rekindling previous failed attempts, including one fronted by the former government that was scuttled by the Supreme Court. By the way, you want to amend the constitution? Referendum.
Mara hiyo.
There's actually hata usiende mbali vile. Opposition leader Raila Odinga has emerged as one of the strongest advocates for the review of the 2010 constitution. This is a story on page 10 talking about Katiba at 15.
Yep.
Looming changes. Any amendment would require the people's approval in a referendum. That's what I've just said.
Yes.
Leaders at Crossroads has pushed to amend Supreme Law amount. Okay? Now, this one is going to be very interesting.
Okay.
Yes. You see, they are right, if you ask me. Reviewing the Constitution is nestled in the implementation of it. The unfortunate story of our Constitution is that the people who are supposed to implement it have been fighting it from the time it was promulgated. They've literally been fighting it. When the court pronounces itself and the president, beginning with President Uhuru, decides he is going to ignore it, you are fighting the Constitution.
Yes.
That's an independent arm of government who have said this is what we need to do. You ignore it. You are the head of state. What are you doing? What example are you setting? We come to this government, you find similar habits. Okay?
Yep.
I am picking on this one particular issue because adherence to the law, the fidelity to the law is the thing that makes leaders stand out. So you are the first to align. The citizenry can now not say the leadership is not aligning. But when the leadership shows even the slightest modicum of not aligning, you've set the stage, you've set the example, and people will now say, but they won't say it to your face, but say, what? If the if comes in, so why are you asking me? Why are you bothering me? It is correct that we should look at the Constitution and we should review it. That process, in my view, should start with us asking ourselves how we'll implement it, because we don't implement it to the fullest.
So for us to have a referendum, actually there's a guest who came here a while back. You hadn't joined us, but this particular person was saying that it's time we have another referendum, because there are some things in the law that need in the Constitution that need to change. And I sort of agree with him now, after we've had these numerous conversations with politicians and business leaders and so on and so forth. We need to change a lot in that Constitution. And I believe that it is time that we have someone who's going to have a proper overhaul and review and give us, and not just one person, of course. We need like a committee or peoples to come and tell us that this is what we need to do, guys, for our systems to work the way we expect them to. And then now we go into a referendum and amend some of those laws. I don't know do you think it's time we actually do it?
This is my view.
Yeah.
Okay. The amendment, even when people talk about it, or the review.
Yes.
Okay. It is important that they tell us in details what the review process involves and what it is they seek to review.
Yeah.
Okay? Before you get to even the issue of referendum, put it to public participation. Get it thoroughly looked at in all the counties, and let's hear what people have to say about this matter of reviewing the Constitution, given what they will have told us they want. Because then we will be able to say, no, you need to add this. We also need to look at this. But more importantly, the Constitution is about giving you a framework within which the rule of law, one, can be stated and then can be applied. So the application is fought by the very people who are in positions of authority, who should be setting the example of actually adhering to it.
Okay.
So if you talk about a review, yes, there needs to be a review, but clarity. Review.
What are we reviewing?
Yes, it's too big a word.
Yeah.
You need to get granular on it. And the people who are proposing it should go into the details of telling us, so that we know exactly what it is we're talking about. Right now, I don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That is the nation.
We definitely need to review executive powers, for sure.
All these things,
NGCDF, we need to review that.
We have amendments to our laws already, and we've seen amendments going through Parliament. The thing that stands out for me is that instead of seeking to implement the Constitution as it was written, we've been seeking to bastardize it.
We've had 12 years of that Constitution.
Yes.
Yes, since 2013.
Yes.
There are things we know for a fact that we might have gotten wrong.
Like what, for instance?
NGCDF.
Do you know my view on that matter is completely different from yours.
But you've asked me, so me, I'm telling you, my part of this.
I am also just telling you that my view is different from yours. Yes.
The position of the woman rep. I'm not saying that we abolish it. For me, I'm thinking we abolish it, but of course,
do you know it does have a time limit? It's not ad infinitum. It's not there forever and ever and ever and ever.
I think Oroba said it's what I can't even remember the time she gave, but it's there. So I'm talking about, do we extend its whatever, or do we cut it short? Do we allow it to run its course? So there are a couple of things there that honestly we can take a look at. The Senate, we need to look at that as well.
Look at what exactly about the Senate?
the work of the Senate and their role and what they have achieved so far, and whether we still need to continue having a Senate.
But what is the problem with the Senate? Because if you're looking at the Senate, then you need to look at the counties.
Si nani alisema hapa juzi? Anaitwa nani? What's his name? Raila alisema that Senate kazi yao ni alisema kazi yao si kuangalia governors, yet sisi tumekuwa tukijua all along kazi ya Senate ni ku oversee governors.
We don't even need to argue on that point.
Then again we know MPs kazi yao pia ni oversight. So who is oversighting who over what?
Look, all you need to do is look at the constitution.
Yes.
And look at what it says. They are supposed to oversight the governors.
Now
it is not complicated.
Rao amekuja akasema hiyo sio kazi yao.
No, why are we arguing about what the former Prime Minister said? What does the constitution say?
Now here are some MCAs, about 1,000 of them, who've now come and said, munaona, tuliwaambia, So we are having what are they called? Tasks that are clashing. We are having responsibilities that are clashing. We have others who are absconding duty. Because now, and it is the truth.
But they're not clashing. The fact that there are certain individuals who have taken certain positions which differ with other individuals who've taken certain positions.
And I just came out and said about 1,000 other MCAs now have come out, wamemea pembe sasa vizuri. Na wanasema sasa mnaona tuliwaambia, and whether we like it or not.
Walituambia nini?
Whether we like it or not, CT.
Walituambia nini?
CT unanisikiza?
I'm listening to you. Walituambia nini?
Sasa MCAs wamemea pembe. Unaona nimefanya video live nimekwambia wamemea pembe. Sasa wanasema nyinyi kama Senate hamtatuambia kitu yote. If you want to impeach a governor, we shall impeach him without your what? Without your input. But so it's getting to a point whereby we need now to review and revisit these responsibilities and say that, guys, this is where your limit as an MCA is, and this is where your limit, or this is where your responsibility as a Senate starts. What I'm saying is we need to review and overhaul the constitution. That's all I'm saying.
Overhaul? What do you mean overhaul?
Tuifanyie, tuioshe, tuisafishe tena, tuianike, tuiweke kwa bleach.
The constitution doesn't require an overhaul.
Tuiweke kwa bleach. Ngoja kidogo, tuiweke kwa bleach, because wewe mwenyewe umesema we are bastardizing this particular thing.
Believe me, yes? We have.
Yes. So it's
before you've even implemented
we have dirtied it.
You have gone and confused it completely. The overhaul what?
We wash it.
No.
We take it through bleach, then we pack a little bit of what is it called? Star Soft, ianze kunukia vizuri.
All right, why don't you just put lipstick on it while you're at it?
Why not? We honestly need a referendum. We just need to understand how and the implications and the impact of that particular referendum. But we need it, whether we like it or not.
The good thing is that we are demonstrating the debate that is necessary on this particular subject, just by the fact that you and I are differing on this view. The constitution, yes, and not utterances that political leadership makes is what we should be debating. Not what did somebody say. What does the constitution say? Even if there were 3,000 MCAs who said it, I'd say, okay, we've heard what you said. What exactly is stated in the constitution?
Because Herman Manyora, when he was here, Professor alisema kitu moja, that it is only Raila who was for the constitution. And he said even those who joined him at that particular time, they were joining him because of political capital, political mileage.
Yes.
Yes?
That's what he said.
It is only Rao who was for like 100% fully, and he believed in it. Everyone else who joined him, they were just joining him for the sake of joining because someone had got to pick a side, and others chose sides that their rivals were not in. Otherwise, if we were being honest, it would have been Rao against the world, for lack of a better word. So for me, what that tells me is that something is wrong. Something is wrong somewhere, because we can't just have one person championing for the constitution and then everyone else, including Martha Karua, Kalonzo na wale wengine wote wenye walikuanga wana support at the time. So if that is the case, me, I'm not a constitutional expert. I only know what I read, and I only know what I will hear Professor Lumumba saying, Professor Manyora saying. I will only understand what I hear the people who actually are engrossed in this particular document tell me. Beyond that, I'm literally relying on the expertise. I'm relying on the interpretation. I'm relying on what the courts will say. I'm relying on what Raila, what Kalonzo, and what President Ruto will say. And I have to make judgment from those particular statements. So for that reason, we honestly need to have a sober conversation around the constitution and see why we're not implementing it the way it's supposed to be implemented, why we're bastardizing it.
We know why it's not being implemented, because it goes against the wishes and the interests of those whose task and duty upon election is to ensure the very thing we're saying that they're fighting. The constitution, it does not make it easy for the Kenyan political mindset. It goes against the grain of their thinking. Remember, we're talking about a people whose idea of business is how to plunder the country.
Yes.
That's business. So now how does the country grow if the people who are supposed to safeguard its resources think like that?
True.
You hear of a plan, and somewhere along the line there will be a clause that underlines the whole process, plunder. So how exactly? Somebody is more interested in what vehicle they're going to drive, where they're going to live, as opposed to understanding that if this money is actually used for what it was purposed, that economy will actually grow. When it grows, the security you keep talking about will be there. When people are busy eking a living, they don't have time to be vandals. They don't have time to be thugs.
Yeah.
There are people who are malcontents and who will venture into those things. But the numbers will be insignificant. There won't be that many.
Okay.
Now, if we have a situation where the people in leadership have chosen not to understand that as governors, your job is to ensure that the citizens of your county benefit from that position and the resources that is given to you, and they follow the same trajectory that we see, then you have to ask, even when we talk about having a discussion about the constitution, the discussion should not be because we've reached 15 years of age.
Yeah.
The discussion has already been had because we've been seeking to implement it. And we've seen the discussion in that those who are supposed to implement it are fighting it. That's part of the discussion.
Yes.
So how then do you move forward when instead of implementing the constitution, it's being fought?
And as we add on to those objectives in asking why, and when, why are they fighting it? Yes, so we know those who are supposed to implement it are fighting it. That we have established. The other question is why?
Because it goes against their interests.
Exactly. Once we establish what these interests are, we also know as a citizen who is for us and who is against us.
Let me tell you, to understand it, just look at the headline of the Standard in 1 minute.
Yeah.
The Untouchables. There's a whole story about what it is, and this is on page 2, what 3 and 4, what the CS is being accused of.
Yes.
The things that he's doing. The things. See, it is reported as such. What I know about our laws, very simply, you are innocent until proven guilty. I rest my case.
It is what it is. All right, so we're taking a short break here for the news. When we return, of course, we shall be engaging in a different direction as far as the conversation on the People's Breakfast is concerned. Don't go too far. We will be right back.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Following an increase in juvenile gangs in Umoja and its Nairobi environs, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations has launched comprehensive investigations. The probe comes after a viral video on social media showing a group of boys engaged in violent clashes, which led to the death of 15-year-old Joshua Kibuti, who died of his injuries while receiving treatment in hospital. Police have established that the youngsters aged between 12 and 19 have formed rival groups. Earlier in the week, Wycliffe Muganda, a community leader in Umoja, told the media that the gangs are notorious for mugging and physical assaults.
One of the parents shared with us that the group, they work in a group of 10, 5, 15 going up. That the moment, anytime they meet a fellow age mate that is having a chain or a nice watch or a belt, they will take it, whether you like it or not.
They're looking for those new recruits. They're looking for those who have abdicated, and they're also looking for those who actually are not willing to join them.
Kenya's judiciary must prove itself as true haven for justice for all Kenyans by tackling corruption within its ranks, says President William Ruto. Speaking during the Katiba Day celebrations on Wednesday, the head of state said public confidence in the courts will collapse if the institution was perceived as corrupt. He said if the institution mandated to dispense justice is perceived as corrupt, it erodes confidence and undermines the constitution.
The judiciary must confront corruption within its own ranks. I am aware of the vigorous and often unsettling conversation around terms like jury pesa. As painful as this may be, they cannot be ignored. If the institution mandated to dispense justice is perceived as corrupt, it not only erodes confidence, but undermines the very constitution it is sworn to protect. The judiciary must rise to its highest calling to cleanse itself, uphold its independence with integrity.
The County Assembly of Kericho has accused Governor Eric Mutai of using his office to harass and humiliate employees, oftentimes demanding favors in return of officers to keep their jobs. In its impeachment case against the governor, 2 former employees of the devolved unit said the county chief had frequently forced them to contribute money for his fundraisers and other unexplained emergency situations. Edna Tanui, who was appointed and dismissed as a member of County Executive Committee, told the Senate that she had, in the course of 2 years, cumulatively contributed a total of 1.5 million Kenya shillings. The governor's impeachment hearing continues today at the Senate.
24th of December 2023, I sent 100,000 to His Excellency Dr. Eric Mutai from my M-Pesa to his M-Pesa line.
Page 84, transaction 30.
That was on 17th of December 2023 to Dr. Eric Mutai from my M-Pesa, 40,000 to his M-Pesa.
Page 85, transaction 31. How much and to whom?
It was on 14th of November 2023. That is to Dr. Eric Mutai. This is 10,000 from my M-Pesa.
How were these requests made, Edna?
The requests were made through phone calls.
2 children aged 8 and 9 were killed and 17 people were injured when an attacker fired through the window of a Minneapolis Catholic church at people celebrating Mass, police said. Annunciation Church, which also houses a school, was filled with students when the shooting happened on Wednesday. Of the 17 injured victims, 14 are children and all are expected to survive. The attacker, 23-year-old Robin Westman, died from a self-inflicted gunshot. And that's the Truth on Radio Generation. Good morning. I'm Winnie Maganga.
In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generations, the people's breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The people's breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor!
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
Welcome back. This is Radio Generation, the people's breakfast. My name is Mung'ala Mbuvi. It is now 6 minutes past 7 o'clock. City Muga is in the studio. City, I want to read for you the headline that is on Taifa Leo. When is the last time you checked out this paper?
This morning.
Or did you now?
Yes.
Okay. So wanasema mpasuko wanukia ODM. Governor Dado, is it Dado or Dado or Dado?
Tana River.
What's his second name? Because I'm
Governor of Tana River.
Aya, Governor Dado aliyechaguliwa kwa chama hicho ni wa hivi karibuni zaidi kukitelekeza. Hey, Kiswahili. Let me say that again. Governor Dadho aliyechaguliwa kwa chama hicho ni wa hivi karibuni zaidi kukitelekeza. Sijui kulitelekeza, wewe ulikuanga kosi, kukitelekeza ni kufanya nini?
Uendelea na kusoma.
Haya, mpasuko wanukia ODM, hivyo ndivyo wanasema hapa katika Taifa Leo. Chama cha Orange Democratic Movement ambacho ni ODM kinachoongozwa na Raila Odinga kinaendelea kuyumba huku kikikaribia kuadhimisha miaka 20 tangu kianzishwe, na wakati huo huo kikijiandaa kwa uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka wa 2027. Hapa vile wanavyosema ni kama wanasema chama chataka kupasuka, kila mtu aende kwa njia yake ama direction.
Yani kuna dalili ya kwamba inataka kusambaratika.
Hapo basi sasa umeshapata kusambaratika. Ni neno ambalo tunaweza kutumia hapa hivi. But what I think this has been an issue anyway for a very long time. Not for a long time, rather, but
we've had this,
ODM splitting.
Yes
it is.
No.
Listen, in the recent past?
No, we've had this story for the longest
Since
time.
When is the last time?
Go back to the time when Ababu Namwamba and Joho, it was being said, was staging a coup.
But let me ask
and
you.
the story that brought about the unveiling of Men in Black.
No offense to those two individuals, but how significant were they in terms of influence within ODM? Ababu Namwamba, Ali Hassan Joho. Just how significant were they?
Let me ask you this.
Yes, because right now, if you look at the people who have brought drama within ODM, my friend, how ni wengi. But anyway,
the
continue.
point I'm trying to make is that ODM has never been without drama. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Okay.
There's a whole list of people who are considered to be rebels within ODM.
Right.
All right? The politics of this country and the positions that people take, until I see the outcome, for me, it's drama, it's a dance.
Yeah.
And it's a ploy. I am not going to believe that that's the end of the story.
Yes.
No. Even the issue of people wanting to resign, manufactured.
It's neither here nor there.
No.
You think it's manufactured?
That one, people are saying what they're saying.
Hebu tusome kidogo. Wanasema wanachama wa ODM walioashiria kutoridhishwa na maamuzi ya chama. Hapa kunaye katibu mkuu Edwin Sifuna, kunaye Timothy Bosire, kunaye Dadho Godana ambaye ndiye governor ulikuwa unaniambia, Babu Owino, alafu kuna Caleb Amisi. And these are just the front page of that particular problem. If they do actually decide to consolidate and coalesce their, because I'm sure they even have other people beneath them. Maybe they are not as outspoken, or they're still hiding, waiting to see what their leaders will do.
If they coalesce, then what happens?
Then it's game over for ODM as it is. ODM might continue as a party, sawa, but
you clearly don't understand politics very well, my brother.
Wacha nikwambie. Unakumbuka wakati ODM ili split into ODM, kulikuwa na ODM Kenya alafu ODM?
I remember very clearly.
Yes,
it was your uncle who brought about that split.
And then my uncle went and opened Wiper Democratic Movement.
Same thing, same outfit. He just gave it a new name.
Exactly. So that was ODM Kenya li change.
Yes.
Same thing is going to happen here if we see the trajectory continue as it is.
Your uncle
had
a significant following who would go with him.
Yes.
Tell me the following that these individuals have, because there are people who are in ODM and their position is wind assisted. Okay? In the absence of that wind, they actually have no say that you can speak of. So if they leave, then what happens?
Tell me who's got significant tailwind here. Edwin?
None of them have tailwind. On their own? No, they are all insignificant. Let me just say it out loud so that you understand.
Okay.
They are all insignificant. And if they leave, that'll be it. They have left. That will be it. As to having a following that would then form, would create a situation where you can now say ODM has split and now the power that ODM has is gone. Wishful thinking.
Wacha sana nikushow. Na hapa ndipo shida inaingilia. Na shida ni ya nyinyi wazee. If Edwin and Caleb and Timothy Bosire and Babu and Caleb Amisi leave, I can assure you they are not going to leave alone. They're going to leave with a considerable number of people in ODM. How influential those people may or may not be is a conversation we shall have if it happens. And this is an if situation.
I will wait to see it.
Yeah.
You know, there's something you need to understand about our politics. Huh? There are people who are elected because the party they are in is popular in that area. And so because they stand on that party, they start off with an advantage. They are likely to be elected.
Okay.
Then those who over time have gotten a name for themselves as being legislators who the constituents like because they provide services and the leadership that they like.
Okay.
We will determine the strength of their power when they leave. As of now, we've seen people who are in ODM and have left and gone as independents and have still gotten elected.
Yes.
Okay. If you're telling me that this lot, when they do that, that's what they'll follow. Remember, there's a third party here at play. It's called the constituents. If the constituents are supporters of ODM,
yes,
you're done for. You are done for. You may like it or not, but we have areas in this country that align to certain parties, whether you like it or not. That's what they do. So if that is how you got yourself elected, then you're between a rock and a hard place. Your resignation will be just that, your resignation.
Full stop.
Yes, exactly.
Now,
as to whether you'll influence anything beyond your resignation, well, you seem to be of the view that they'll bring about some change.
Yeah.
I'm of the view that the change, if any, will be so insignificant, it'll be statistically irrelevant.
Now, listen here, City. There's one thing I want you to understand. That if these folks from ODM do decide to, chart their own course, definitely, people in other chamas, pia watatoka. We're talking about UDA, for instance, chama cha Raisi. And those folks that will leave those, because I'm sure they're looking to form some kind of coalition. Haitakuwa to this 5 we're seeing here.
All right. You clearly know something I don't. And you are saying that there are people who have
there's going to be an exodus from UDA as well. They have found constituents who will support them outside the normal channels of political parties. That's what you're saying. No, I'm saying they will chomoka from UDA, from ODM, probably any other party, and then go form their own outfit and say that this is going to be the third force.
You must stop watching these science fiction movies.
Conspiracy theory movies, yes.
That's science fiction.
Yeah.
If the situation arose where these individuals you mentioned have a demonstrable support of a very large chunk of the youth vote,
yes,
then they could make the change. But my view is that this vote is untested.
Why do you think they want to leave in the first place?
Because they think they will get the support of these people. Until they get it, as far as I'm concerned, they don't have it. When they get it and I see it, then I'll say, they've got it. As of now, pipe dream. Pipe dream. Put it in capital letters, perhaps underline it in red, or better still, write it in red and underline it in green.
Should you put it in bold?
Bold is useful.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to do that.
Very
But let's wait and see. Acha tuone hao wanachama ambao wanataka kupasua mbarika. Kupasua mbarika is something different, Okay, fine. I need to give a few shout-outs here as we move on. There's Jimmy Gakio, amesema good morning City and crew. Carol Nyambura, good morning team. Gypsy Corner kama kawaida. Hi City, Mbuvi and the team. Then we have, he has gone on to say, but is Gypsy Corner a man or a woman? I'm never sure.
Don't worry, you just say Gypsy Corner, leave it at that.
All right, Gypsy Corner tuambie, amesema ODM has lost its values. Do you believe, do you align with Gypsy, or you will reserve your comments?
No, I'm not reserving my comments. I'd like Gypsy to tell me why it is he thinks the ODM has lost its values.
Okay.
He has a reason.
Yeah.
I don't know it, and I'd like to know.
All right. David Akero amesema, this is the platform with these boomers. All movements begin somewhere. CT wazee mkae kando. Umesikia vinyo umeambiwa? This is the problem with these boomers. I'm assuming he means you. This is David Akero, Yes. He's saying this is the problem with these boomers. All movements begin somewhere, CT. Wazee mukae kando.
Yes, he's absolutely right in that all movements begin somewhere.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of them are stillborn. They die before they do anything.
The movements.
Oh, yes. People start movements all the time. So I'm in agreement.
You see the problem with these boomers? Dominic Mwendo Mwenda, sorry. Dominic Mwenda anasema, he ODM is dead. Oh, hi. ODM is dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
As again, you know, one of the things that you must understand and appreciate about this constitution
is
how the Mwananchi aligns and relates to it.
Yeah.
This is what we are seeing. They have the freedom to voice their opinion, and they are voicing it, just like I have the same freedom and I was voicing mine.
As a boomer.
Yes. Yeah. The truth is this. Why you don't see me engaging very vociferously in some of these arguments is because time will tell. So I'm not even concerned.
Hapa kuna shida.
Time will tell. I mean, these things that we are saying.
Yeah.
Will tell. ODM is definitely not dead.
Yes.
Absolutely not dead.
Yeah.
No. It's a very strong party. Just like UDA is a strong party. UDA is not dead. UDA has issues that political parties in this country have, for the simple reason that many political parties that end up in the leadership of the country with the president has been many parties cobbled into one party.
Yes.
So even by its very makeup, it is diversified and they're unified because of the power and the promises that are made. And as time progresses, it becomes clear most of these promises can't be kept. So people start agitating, people start moving. That's it. Now, parties that have been there for some time, Wiper, ODM, KANU, DP, all the other parties, they have people who support them.
DP bado nakuanga?
It's very much alive and well. And the new parties that have come from other regions, they have supporters. And to understand it, the moment you find a party you've never heard of and they have an MP who's been elected, it tells you that particular region identifies with that party. And maybe this particular individual who was elected is somebody who also resonates with the electorate.
Yes.
Now, to get to a point where the political party can post sufficient members of parliament in diverse parts of the country to parliament, that is not a party that is dead. That is a party that is alive and kicking. Okay? So, and ODM is not a conglomeration of many parties. It's just ODM. Wiper is just Wiper. UDA is a conglomeration. So if one wants to talk about a party that is likely to split, it is that one. Because all these people are there because there was some benefit they thought would accrue to them. If after 2 years going to 3 they don't see it, they will move. It's that simple.
Yeah.
The people who can't move are people like Musalia Mudavadi, who dissolved his party. Him is done for. He's stuck. Other people are not stuck. They'll move.
Yeah. But he can start another party if he wanted.
We have 103 registered political parties in this country, Chief. There are very many. Just pick and choose the one that has a name that agrees with you.
Yeah.
The left-right party, something like that.
Kuna tip-tip.
Tip-tip iko.
But they Kalembe after Aage Dunia,
Yes.
I don't know who's in charge of tip-tip now. Anyway, I want to revisit this story that we read earlier on. On the Standard, the Untouchables, Aden Duale has built a career thriving on controversy. And we can see here they've again talked about the Social Health Authority Chairman Abdi Mohammed, and they also spoken about CS Allen Duale. So yesterday the Standard had a similar headline talking about the way Ladnan hospitals have received X amount of money, and they went on to say, you know, they alluded to a conflict of interest kind of situation. I feel like they're building to something. They're building towards something here.
They were not focusing on conflict of interest. They were focusing on fraud.
Yes.
The allegation seemed to point to how it is certain hospital registered under different names in different places has received an inordinate amount of money as compared to other government units that haven't received. Now, my beef yesterday was, please be comprehensive about it so that we understand the statement you've made about it. If the fraud is that they're receiving a lot of money, all right, compared to whom? And this receiving of money, is it for services that were provided, or were the services fictitious?
Yeah.
Does the hospital exist? Clearly it exists.
Yes.
The accusation of fraud must be proven. The article did not prove the accusation of fraud. It just pointed out to monies being paid. Monies being paid cannot constitute fraud until you tell us the details of why it is that money constitutes fraud.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Now, there was a list of of other hospitals that had been paid. Now, the question which arose, and this is something that the PS for Health stated, it is, government procedures are things people ignore. And to be able to access money within government, if you don't understand those procedures, you will not get the money. It doesn't matter what you say. I'm prefacing this discussion on what the auditor, the office, the budget office of control of budget stated regarding counties, and counties who were to receive the allocation and those who were not. Okay. And she stated that these are the processes that must be followed, and those who haven't received, some of them have not done this, they have not done this, they have not done this. But when they do, we will load the payment into IFMIS.
Yes.
The same applies with SHA. SHA has an algorithm. There are things you must do. And from what we were told, from the time you see the patient, you want to document that patient's being there. You want to have notes regarding this patient and what the problem is. Everything has been done.
Basically, there's a procedure of admitting, treating, and discharging.
And it must be documented in real time.
Yeah.
Then when you post it, that is the basis of the claim. If these things aren't aligned, that payment will not be processed. The system just kicks it out.
Yes.
But that's the point of an algorithm. It requires certain things to be aligned for it to now move to the next step of paying you. Otherwise, it will not.
Yeah.
So that was a discussion, and that's what the PS Health told us.
Okay.
Now, today we're being told it's the untouchables. Read the story and tell us what is the article stating that now aligns itself to that particular headline, and what is it that the focus now is on Duale.
Yes.
What is it that CS Duale has done that is considered to be terrible to the point where people say this man should be removed?
Yes.
That is what I'd like to read.
Yeah. And if readers do actually read further, they will see that Anthony Kibagendi, Kitutu Chache South MP amesema they demand the resignation of CS Aden Duale and chairman of SHA, Mr. Abdi Mohammed.
So they're being accused of the same thing. What is this same thing they're being accused of?
Ndio nimekuambia, I think there's something the Standard are building to, and if we do see a similar headline tomorrow touching on these same individuals, or at the very least the Ministry of Health in regards to SHA, then I will know there's something they're building towards. But if this what is it called? If this headline or kind of headline dies today, then
go to page 4.
Page 4. Page 4 imefungua. They are saying Duale Ruto man with a knack for stoking storms in plum dockets. Kenya Moja parliamentary caucus goes for CS Duale and SHA chairs next. They want the duo to resign or be forced out of office over the SHA ripoff. Yeah, when President William Ruto appointed Aden Duale to his cabinet in the defense docket, he unwittingly opened his administration to a string of criticism arising from the latter's controversial and scandalous remarks. The former Garissa town MP has held 3 powerful portfolios, including environment and the current health ministry, leaving a string of controversies in his wake. He is yet again in the eye of the storm, and yesterday MPs gave him 48 hours to resign or face a censure motion.
All right, read the story that now on the next page, on page 5, which talks about some of the ills that are purported to have been conducted by the CS.
So page 5 says, calls mount for CS to resign over SHA scam. Sources say individual interests have marred top-level decision-making. Duale accused of overstepping his mandate by managing health agencies.
Go on.
Deep-rooted conflict of interest in the Ministry of Health and muzzling of some of the agencies could lead to the loss of billions of shillings. Health sector players familiar with the details point fingers at Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale, demanding he takes full responsibility over the pilferage of government resources. Others also claim the top officials at the ministry are part of the individuals benefiting from the mess. Insiders claim that persons close to the center of power have interests in pharmaceutical and technology companies, including the recently launched National Equipment Service Program that replaced medical equipment services.
You see, when you make such accusations, you then have to substantiate. He's overstepped his mandate. Okay, what's his mandate and what has he done that now informs us that he has overstepped this mandate, which we know is his mandate? See? In the absence of that, all you've done is you've uttered accusations and made demands that he resign. That article goes further to actually talk about the payment systems. It talks about SHA and talks about an alternate power system that they are claiming that the CS uses. Now, the claim goes further to state that, well, to imply that in using this alternate system as opposed to SHA, that is where now the rot begins to set in.
Yeah.
That is exactly what they're heading towards. Yes.
So
that's on page 5. What I'm telling you is on page 5.
Yeah. So page 5 was written by Mercy Kahenda.
Yes.
And we invited her yesterday.
We did.
And then
the story on page 5
4 is by Josephat Thiongo.
Page 5, Mercy Kahenda has gone into details that could point to what it is the article is talking about. If you read the details, yes, she has actually gone into specific details and said, there's this. Yes, but I'm still asking the question. Yes, you've gone into the details. What is it that they have done that then amounts to fraud?
Yeah. So basically what you
the
are
crime
asking,
that has been committed, it is what exactly?
So what you're asking is, and now I get your perspective, sababu wewe ni mwalimu. For you to score this as what the headline says.
Yes.
For you to give it out the marks that it deserves, there are certain things that you need to see aligned with the headline, with the topic.
Yes, then I understand exactly what you're talking about. So long as I don't understand, and the lack of understanding arises from the justification for what you're saying. The justifications are mentioned, and I'm saying, okay, give me details and give me examples so that I understand this thing better. But so long as it's something that is being stated and left at that, then it's just something that is being stated. Yes. And why is it that there's now a cry and a call for them to resign? We have a history in this country that whenever you hear people ganging up and suddenly it starts, mention, then it picks up. Okay? The issues they are speaking of may have been there before Duale got there. Duale came the other day.
Yeah.
We're not going into history. And that's the same pattern of discussion that we have with regards to this presidency. The issue of what every government inherits, you mention it and somehow that's not supposed to be relevant. What is relevant is what's happening now. But what is happening now is because of what was inherited, for heaven's sake. Okay? There's a continuum in government, and there's the understanding that once you take that position, you ought to have understood what you're taking. And we understand. So you can't say, oh, you didn't know. That one we will certainly not buy. So you took the job. So you know what you're getting into. But the point is, when you specifically talk about somebody who's untouchable, you need to demonstrate what it is that they have done and which would have led to their censure and which censure has not been applied. If you say that it's fraudulent, then you, having stated that it's fraudulent, you will say, this is what is supposed to have been done and this is what was done. So we know what the fraud is about.
Yeah.
If I don't know what the fraud is about and I can't see it, then I'll keep asking, okay, so where's the fraud?
Nimekuelewa teacher, nimekuelewa. But I again, and I'll tell you, if we see such a headline tomorrow, then we will know they're building up to something. Or rather, Mercy and Josephat are building towards something.
I am of the view that what you're saying is true, but let me give it a rider.
Okay.
I will know that there are people who are determined that they must focus on these two.
All right.
And this is an agenda that's being pushed.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you've seen Kenya Moja Alliance in Parliament are also pushing for this. So I feel like I also know Mercy and Josephat's sources. I know there are sources where they're getting this information. But good job, Mercy and Josephat. Continue and let's see where this goes. On the Star newspaper, shake up. New law paves way for NSC listing of parastatals. That story is on page 4 and 5 of the Star. Governor post, Kitui politics hits up as aspirants jostle for top seat. Dr. Malombe is set to retire after 2027 because he was there during the first term, 2013 to 2017. Then 2017 to 2022, Governor Ngilo was in charge. Then now he came back, so he can't go back now as governor. So I don't know what he's going to do. But as far as performance is concerned...
what he was doing before?
Yeah. Sorry, come again?
He'll do what he was doing before.
Oh, yeah.
So that's your governor?
Yes. But umesikia kuna the senators now want to... Is it Senate or National Assembly? I'm not sure which one. But they want to block governors from running for Senate, because some governors, once they are done with their first 2 terms, they go back and now.
What's wrong with that?
I don't know. I'm just saying that that's what they want.
Well, let's see how those ones develop.
Yeah. According to the weather forecast, brace for hotter October. Brace for hotter October and December season. I thought we were supposed to have a cold season right now, but we're not having a cold season.
We've had a very cold few weeks.
Yes, like in see as cold as they should be. Would you compare the cold right now and the cold 10 years ago? Definitely not.
My memory,
yes,
doesn't have that bandwidth.
When I leave the office here, I sometimes even forget my sweater or jacket in the office because it's not that cold. 10 years ago, I wouldn't dare forget.
I will take your word for it.
Yeah.
Was it cold 10 years ago? I don't remember at all.
Lakini situ yanakuananga na jacket 24/7.
It's not a jacket, chief. That's where you go wrong.
Hey, what is it?
It's a document carrier.
Oh, I have a feeling you go to bed with it.
I don't need to carry documents when I'm going to bed. I need to carry documents when I'm coming to work.
Then why do you have a bag as well? Backpack.
Is there something that prevents you from having a bag?
MPs demand resignation of CS Dwale over Shah scandal. That story is on page 7. Opposition en route to marshal forces for 2027 showdown. If you get the Star, a copy of the Star, you'll definitely see some of those stories. Hapa nyuma the Star inasema McCarthy's choice. Odhiambo omitted as Stars coach unveils squad for World Cup qualifiers. I'm so excited after what happened during CHAN. I am almost certain that we're going to perform really well. We might not get to the World Cup though.
Have you heard the stories that are around that game and the conspiracy of who should have been there, who wasn't there, and who did what?
No, I haven't heard that drama. There's some voices saying that the choices for the Nini game were wrong. Players, rather.
Yes, that the people who are put there, there was some
were not
influences.
competent.
Not competent. They were not the best that you could have put there. They're not the same people who played the other games. What have you? I'm simply trying to say that Kenyans are just being Kenyans.
Yeah.
That's really the point I'm making here.
Yeah.
Yes. This is football.
Mm.
And this, Madagascar, see, they've reached the finals.
Yes.
Against all odds.
Yes.
So they've reached the finals.
And they're going to play Morocco.
Yes. Whom we beat. Or did we draw?
We beat 1-0.
Now that's football for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And guess what? Yesterday, I bet with my partner, not yesterday when they were playing, I bet and I said that Senegal would actually make it.
And they made it?
No, they didn't. Walitandikwa.
Nani?
Senegal walitandikwa na Madagascar.
Oh, Madagascar beat Senegal. Now you see, Senegal have even qualified for the World Cup. So you'd assume...
Am I wrong on that one? Let me just confirm. I could be saying my own things, yeah? But I know Madagascar walitandikwa. Let me just confirm who beat Madagascar. Madagascar. Oh, Sudan ndio walitandika Madagascar. Sorry. Yeah. 1-0.
That was before.
Sorry, come again?
That was before.
Yes, no. So now for the final, of course, Madagascar is going to play. Madagascar beat Sudan. That's the country I was trying to confirm.
Oh, yes.
So I had bet with her on this particular game, Madagascar versus Sudan.
And you said Madagascar would win?
I said Sudan would win.
Why did you think Sudan would win?
I was just being a pain in the behind.
Anyway. I see, what were the chances that Madagascar would reach the finals? What are the chances that Madagascar could win this cup?
What are the chances?
Yes.
Right now, it's literally 50-50.
See, that's the thing about football.
Yeah.
I remember there is a particular game, 1999, was it 1996? European Club Championship, Bayern Munich and Manchester. Okay? There was some few minutes left to the game. Bayern Munich was winning 1-0. 5 minutes. They were winning.
Yes, and everyone knew.
No, this it's a wrap, as they like saying. With 1 minute to go, Manchester United scored. So they are now draw. Then they got a corner. You know, seconds are ticking.
Yes.
Huh?
Wakashika.
T. Ndani. On the clock. They won.
Yeah.
You couldn't have anticipated it. You couldn't have thought it. But there it was. football has many stories of that nature. Whether it's FA Cup final, and it's not as though it happens every year. But there are periods when that happened, and it is not and said, oh, you know, this happened in this particular period. Football, the unexpected can happen. Who would have thought that in the Rio, when when the World Cup was in Brazil, who would have thought that Germany would beat the home team with the margin that they did? Who would have thought? Nobody could have thought, but they did. This is football.
Football is a game of chance.
Believe me.
Yes, whether you like it or not.
There are things that will happen that defy anything that you have thought of.
Yes.
Now, talking of football, since you like football, and I've told me I never watch football, but I do read about football. I don't watch it. Of all the teams that play in the FA, you people who have teams you support and so forth, those who support Arsenal, you need to be very proud. It is the only team in the Premier League that has never been relegated. Never.
Okay.
Manchester, all those guys, they've been relegated at one time or the other. In the history of that particular Premier League.
Okay.
Just a little bit about football to show you that just because I don't watch it doesn't mean I don't know what happens.
No. The fact that you've lived that long, or this long, CT, there are something. Even me, there are some things I'm not necessarily interested in. But by virtue of just being as old as I am, not that old. Okay. By virtue of being as young, Sasa, don't discriminate me over the fact that I'm young. I have a couple of questions for you here.
Yes.
Someone is asking, what is inside your jacket?
And there's a notebook. There are pens. There's Yes, yeah.
Bro, when you don't know what is in your pocket?
I'm not very sure because when I change jackets, I'm not sure I remove things. This jacket, that's all it has. And it has the handkerchiefs on both sides of the jacket.
Yeah.
Yes, but this other pocket, I also have candy.
Okay. Yes. Gypsy Corner said, Mbuvi, city's fashion beats the weather. What else am I seeing here? He's answering the question you'd asked him earlier on about ODM. He says ODM brought in experts in quotes to stabilize the country. On paper it looks great but not practical. Since the national united government, things have gone worse. The inflation is bad. I think he means the broad-based government.
Yes.
Yeah, so ODM brought in experts in quotes, to stabilize the country. On paper, it looks great, but not practical. Since the broad-based government, things have gone worse. The inflation is bad. So this is why he's saying that ODM is a done deal. Lost its values.
If he's premising his conclusion on what he has just said, it's logical.
Yeah.
It's very logical.
For him, that is why he's saying...
It's logical.
All right.
Yes. You said you had a question. That is, where's the question?
No, there's no question here. There's no question. He says Duale should be held responsible, not the president. I agree with that. Senegal is a great international team, but not in CHAN. CHAN was played with individuals who have not played outside their countries, and that's very true. And that is why they played as good as they did. So right now we're waiting to see how the, what is it called? The final is going to be, and it's been played here in Kenya. Let me actually confirm when we are playing the finale at what time. Atuone CHAN final. Wanasema hivi. So Madagascar versus Morocco will be played on 30th August, Saturday at 6. Twende stadium.
No.
Twende bana.
No.
Why?
So I can watch it on TV.
Itakuwa Kasarani Moi International Sports Center.
Believe me, I can watch it on TV.
Yes. Can I come to your place?
You can come, but I don't watch TV myself.
All right. So
I honestly don't watch TV. So you can come. You're welcome. You can come and visit.
There are certain things I usually need when I'm watching football.
What do you need, for instance?
Nitakwambia.
Tunaeleza.
So drama as police block Oruoba, former nominated senator's efforts to gain access to the Senate to present her reinstatement papers following a court ruling hit a dead end after a confrontation with the police who dragged her away. That story is on page 15.
Why did the police drag her away again?
Oruoba ameona drama.
Why did the police drag her away?
So she was bringing what's that called?
Look at the story.
Her reinstatement papers.
Yeah, just look at the story. Keep
page
turning.
15.
It's beyond 15. Keep turning. There.
Drama. It's actually on page 15. Drama as Oroba denied entry to Senate. A Ulster-dominated senator wanted to present court papers in her favor, but the security officers would hear none of that and even had her car towed. There was drama at the Senate yesterday after former nominated Senator Gloria Oroba was denied access to the House. Oroba had tried to present her reinstatement papers following a court ruling in her favor but was denied entry. This prompted a confrontation with the security officers. During the confrontation, Oroba claimed she was legally in office and she should be let into the Senate, where a special sitting to consider the impeachment motion against Kericho Governor Eric Mutai was ongoing. Oroba had been replaced by Consolata Wakwabubi shortly after her nomination to the House was withdrawn by the ruling United Democratic Alliance party. As long as that lady called Consolata Wakwabubi is sitting in that Senate, that sitting is illegal. That is a stranger in the floor of the House. That is a basis for an appeal for whatever outcome the impeachment will bring out, she exclaimed as her presence at the gate drew attention. So that is why they chomoed her. She had gone for that special sitting to listen to the impeachment hearing of Governor Mutai, and the cops would hear none of it. Wakamtoa cha lazima and her vehicle was towed.
Let me ask the question: were the police acting within the limits of the law?
So the police at Parliament, who commands them? I'm sure there's an OCS at Parliament, right? Yes. There has to be an OCS at Parliament. Now the OCS at Parliament, yeye instructions zake zinatokanga wapi? Si instructions zake zinatokanga kwa mkubwa wake ambaye ni probably Nairobi command or someone in that regard.
Yes.
So I think they were acting within the law.
No, the fact that you've been told what to do doesn't mean that what the instructions are within the law. That's what I'm asking.
Because mkiambiwa this person is persona non grata here, that's all you need to know. Stories zingine hizo they are neither here nor there.
We will see, because what they've done, not only have they given the senator some serious airtime and mileage, they've brought into play the discussion around the role of the police and the rule of law and how it is applied.
Okay.
They have just introduced that entire discussion now into this whole saga.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you think that's going to go?
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. But you see, the debate will be around Senator Oroba.
Yes.
And she stays relevant, and civil society activists who look into such things, the rights of individuals and the laws around what it is that should be happening, will come into it. So this discussion, that activity there has opened up a whole new discussion, and it'll all be around Senator Oroba and the details around the rights, the privileges, the law around such a thing. Because when you have an order from the court reinstating you, at what point is it relevant for you to present it? Because the pronouncement is inadequate. Yeah. After the pronouncement, there must be a written, maybe that's what you're trying to present, that the registrar at least stamps. So you have a document saying,
I am
this one, yes, and this is what the court has said, and she must be reinstated. That one, you have it. If that's what she had, then where else could she take it other than the Senate?
And she's going back to her office anyway.
Yes, she's been reinstated. Yes, so unless you're saying that the court order doesn't make sense to you. As I said, it's opening up a whole new discussion. Yes.
I honestly wish her all the best. But I saw the drama surrounding her arrest and her being kicked out of, or rather being towed away, and it was not pretty. It was not pretty. Well, I think we need certain ways of handling individuals in this country, especially women.
Women are handled badly.
Ungeona venye walimshika bwana.
Well,
mimi wezi shika mama yangu hivyo na nikuache.
Kabza?
No, on a serious note.
Wezi?
Yeah, mama yangu, mtoto wangu, Bibi yangu.
Dada yako.
Dada yangu. Hawezi mshika hivi na and you have a peaceful day.
No. It won't happen.
We're gonna have a conversation
on that subject.
Yes. And that conversation might end up being very ugly.
It may not head in the direction that
yes. Kuna venye tu huwezi shika mwanamke bwana tu namna hiyo alafu tu ati hiyo story ishie tu hapo tu chini ya maji. No. Anyway, that is as far as the drama around Senator Roba is concerned. And about Governor Mutai. This is also going to be another story.
By the way,
going to be a proper headline.
That thing is ongoing.
Yes.
And people are testifying. But I have to ask, what did Mutai actually do wrong? What is he actually being accused of? Because there are times when what you read and what the real issue is not in the public domain.
Okay, I think it's just issues of accountability.
There are very few governors in this country who do not have issues of accountability.
Yeah.
So is it only that?
What you're asking is, why did his MCAs decide to impeach him?
Yes. Why did they really decide to impeach him? That's the issue.
Because it was overwhelming.
The overwhelming bit I get, remember, every governor, sitting governor, defeated somebody for this job. In the election, they won. And if the person you defeated was a former governor, what makes you think that governor doesn't want to come back?
Can we talk about what is in the grapevine?
Yes.
So the grapevine, rumors on the ground wanasema ya kwamba the reason why Governor Mutai has been attacked is because they really never wanted him in the first place.
Yes.
Number one. He was being used to punish someone.
God Almighty.
You know, like the way they say that they wanted to vote against President Uhuru's choice, which is Raila Amolo Odinga, to teach him a lesson.
Yes.
Na apparently ni watu wa Murima
walikuwa
kumfunza lesson. So I don't know whether he learned that lesson.
Actually,
ama he's continuing to learn it.
It's an interesting lesson, that one.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those lessons which I think backfired.
Hakuna effect.
The people who are trying to teach the lessons are the ones who found themselves learning some lessons they had not anticipated.
They thought they were walking into a biology class. They thought it was quantum physics.
My friend, a completely different dispensation.
Well, yeah. So anyway, in regards to Governor Mutai,
that is the grapevine.
Yeah. The grapevine, that is what they're saying. Because if you look, like now, that accusation of 300,000, 1.2 million. Look, and I'm not condoning that impunity. I'm not condoning the corruption. But I'm just saying that I actually thought it was something grave, something huge, something magnanimous. My friend, sasa munazushana juu ya 300,000.
Something momentous.
1.2 million. Yeah. Kwa hivyo kwa Governor Mutai, I think we need to understand what exactly is going on.
Let me tell you, the thing about a misdeed, it is not the enormity of it. Even if it had been 20 shillings.
Yep.
Have you seen how the number of years they give to chicken thieves when they're actually caught and taken to court?
Oh, yeah. Some even are given a life sentence depending on how they stole that chicken.
They stop short of executing you.
Yes.
As they say in Kiswahili, iwe funzo kwa watu wenye tabia kama hizo. Yeah. Now, they now want to punish this gentleman, according to your assertion, because they feel that the purpose for which he was elected has now expired.
Yes. And it's barely 3 years.
You know, it's very interesting about how people function. And if that hearsay and that supposition has any truth to it, it's something you should look at when you consider the mindset and the mentality of the voter. Because this is a man who attracted some very interesting things. People were sending him money.
Edna Tanu being one of them.
They were sending him money.
Yes.
Before he was elected. Before. For campaigning.
Oh, now this is before he became governor.
Yes. And for us, for me who was reading, it looked like this man has touched the hearts of the people, and they felt this man has a common touch. Mwalimu aliongeza masomo akaenda akafundisha university. Somebody who would attend Harambee and donate his 100 shillings which he had, or 200. People liked him. So the story of the punishment, I hear it, but there was something about him that people also liked. Or they hyped the things they liked so that they could convince themselves that the punishment was worthwhile. Now, you know, the confusion and the complexity of our voting processes and the thinking behind it, that is also something that is worthy of a study and research, because we keep arguing amongst ourselves that we end up always voting the wrong people. But that's not what happens when we are voting for them. We are convinced that they're the right people.
Yeah.
So when people say, oh, this time we need to look for the right people, but we always vote for the right people. We always do. So what then happens from the time they are right, because they are right when we're electing them, then they become unright. What is this that happens? See, this is the question.
Swala nyeti.
Yes, and you know my view on that one. We fail to understand that when you elect someone, you should hold them accountable.
Yeah.
We seem to anchor our understanding of political leadership on the goodwill of this individual you have elected to do what is good. Human nature doesn't function that way. No. There has to be a deterrent. There has to be something that you realize will come upon you which you may not like if you don't do what it is that you're supposed to do. That understanding alone will keep you on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
But in the absence of that, people will do crazy things.
Yeah. All right. There's a story here. Hey. Kenya marks 15 years of supreme law amid gender parity challenge. Yesterday was Katiba Day. President Ruto has declared August 27th as the Katiba Day to be observed every year. The constitution has been hailed as one of the most progressive in the world. Now, Kenya is marking the 15th anniversary since promulgation of the 2010 constitution, with President William Ruto having proclaimed August 27th the Katiba Day. A presidential proclamation on Monday stated that August 27 marks 15th marks that August 27 marks 15th anniversary of the Supreme Law, presenting a unique opportunity to celebrate the Constitution, universally acclaimed as one of the most progressive. Now, of course, this story is very long, but here they are focusing on gender parity challenges. And the elusive gender rule is like this, that not more than 2/3 rule has been elusive 15 years on, something tumesema pana tukakubaliana. Maraga's advisory opinion in 2020 called for dissolution of parliament for failing to pass the law or to pass the rule. Status report stated deeply rooted patriarchal norms, stereotypes, and social stigmas continue to associate leadership with masculinity. And it calls for fostering a gender-sensitive work environment that supports diversity and inclusion. Assessment served as a call to action and roadmap for accelerating realization of gender principle, and report called for enactment and operationalization of legislation to close legal gaps. And data revealed significant gender disparity at senior levels. Males comprised of 14.06% and females 7.82% of staff in upper job groups, and women remain underrepresented in higher echelons of public service. Now we know that for a fact that
we do.
Kuna shida as far as this gender equity maneno, affirmative action is concerned. But me, I'm of a different view. I'm of the view that malumejipigania ndipo utapata city.
Explain.
So, for instance, men and women right now have got equal opportunities, if you ask me.
Do they?
They do. We all do the same KCPE. We all do the same KCSE. Akunanga KCSE ya wanawake na KCPE ya wanaume.
But that has been there from time immemorial.
Exactly. We go to university. We all have equal chances to select the courses that we would like to do, whether you're government sponsored or self-sponsored.
Yes.
Once you're done with campus or TVET, the market is open. Why don't they come? And I know I'm gonna get a lot of backlash for this. But why should there be like a special consideration? Why is it not on merit? Mbuvi is qualified to do this job. Mbuvi is hired. Mbuvi came first and applied for the job. Mbuvi is hired. But if Patricia came before me and she's equally or even more qualified, then let her get that job. If we go to say Rarieda constituency that was mentioned here yesterday, and then there's Mung'ala Mbuvi vying, and there's Patricia Oyuu vying, and people can clearly see Patricia deserves that seat, then Patricia is elected. Simple. But if Mbuvi is the one who the people have actually chosen because of whatever they have decided I am able to do, after presenting my manifesto, and Patricia presented hers, and they decided they're going to go with Mbuvi, then what's the problem with that?
Patriarchy is a problem.
But you see, at the end of the day, it is the people who are choosing these leaders.
Patriarchy is the
leaders
problem.
Don't choose themselves.
Patriarchy doesn't just limit the process to the biases of men.
Okay.
Even women support patriarchy.
So then, if these women do not want to be led by fellow women, why are we forcing it on them?
We're not forcing it on them.
We are, because now when we create affirmative positions, actually the only position I agree with that should be created is for people living with disabilities. Hiyo nayo, because sometimes we tend to forget them in society, and sometimes honestly we tend to think they are not up to the task. Hiyo ninakubaliana, let's give them these positions. Let's literally create and say this one specifically is going to be for people who are abled differently. Lakini hii ingine city ya sasa tunaanza create kiti mahali fulani.
It's important for people to understand what female leadership would look like. The affirmative action was to present something that hadn't been seen before in the numbers that we see, so that the understanding could be better. That's why that position was set with a time frame and an end or an expiry date for it. And the understanding, as it was explained to us very clearly here by Senator Roba, was you're supposed to have a turnover so that more and more women get to be in the political space, and whatever it is that we measure as their performance can be seen or can be witnessed. It was important. Because patriarchy is entrenched in our African traditions. And as I said, the women support it. Children grow up in the home. Let me explain. Daddy was fanya but your sister is supposed to do that. You already clearly entrenching that particular process. Daddy talk about jikoni. Stop climbing trees. I'm trying to explain to you that we go about this business of showing those differences and entrenching that particular value, or that particular position, without even realizing that's what we're doing. And then it catches up with you. It is true, there's equality in education and so forth. But even in jobs, you'll find disparity now, because many employers prefer to employ women. They have few industrial issues. So, the whole point of affirmative action is to right something which was considered to be wrong. That's it.
Okay. This is something that needs a different and this one I'm going to make it my job to ensure that we actually do have this conversation, and we shall give it proper time. Sababu mimi historia nini nataka kuelewa, si atistaki wanawake wako in leadership, but me I want them to fight for it as equally as men do. That's what I'm saying.
So
aya acha tuingie kwa news na mimi Maganga.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. 5 more bodies were exhumed on Wednesday at Kwabinzaro village in Kilifi County This brings the total number of bodies exhumed in 5 days to 24. Government pathologist Dr. Richard Njoroge said several body parts were also recovered and will be profiled to determine if they match the exhumed bodies. The 4 graves exhumed on Wednesday contained 5 bodies, while 1 skull was found on the surface, bringing to 21 the total number of body parts collected so far.
We also collected many body parts scattered around the perimeters of some of the graves. So those ones will also be processed by DNA to see whether they match any of the bodies that we collected.
Health Cabinet Secretary Eden Duale says some members of Parliament own health facilities flagged in the recent Social Health Authority payment claims saga. Responding to lawmakers calling for his censure, Duale accused them of blackmail and attempts to derail the fight against corruption in the health sector. Lawmakers led by Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna, speaking in Parliament earlier Wednesday, demanded that Duale take responsibility for payments to non-existent hospitals. According to Duale, allegations about the cost of the integrated healthcare information technology system are based on misunderstandings and deliberate misrepresentations of facts. President William Ruto has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to ensuring the success of the Social Health Authority. The president insists that the new health scheme will not be derailed by corruption or fraud. He said the government is using digitized systems to expose and eliminate the networks that previously drained public funds through the collapsed NHIF. He revealed that nearly 1,000 health facilities have already been shut down after being found to be involved in malpractice.
The digitization process of SHA is what is making us to detect all the fraudulent claims, all the ghost hospitals, and all the fake patients that are attempting to carry out fraud in our health sector. And I want to promise the people of Kenya, we have already closed close to 1,000 health facilities. We are not going to stop at closing the facilities. We are also going to make sure that they refund the money if ever they have been paid.
A Nairobi court has ordered the detention of a woman accused of plotting to steal 11 containers of bitumen worth more than 19 million Kenya shillings from the China Road and Bridge Corporation. Senior Principal Magistrate Geoffrey Onsarigo directed that Joy Naomi Jelimo to be held at Capitol Hill Police Station one day to allow detectives to complete investigations. The DCI says Jelimo was arrested in Eldoret over the disappearance of consignment shipped from Dubai and cleared at the Nairobi Inland Container Depot.
Protect the right of the arrested person. They already have the phone. They already have the delivery note they want to investigate. And there is no even witnesses that have been put here to show you that these are the witnesses that are likely to be interfered with. And she can stay because I believe her sister stays in Kileleshwa. She'll be prepared. Tomorrow she'll be here. There's no need of detaining someone. And yet even they have not convinced you that this person, the delivery notes look how they look like, or if they can create a charge sheet.
Some 200,000 people have been evacuated as floods devastated parts of Pakistan's Punjab province. Rescuers carried residents to safety in boats after disaster authorities warned of exceptionally high floods along the Ravi, Sutlej and Chenab rivers. Several districts called in the army to help. It comes after Pakistani officials said India had warned it will release water from major dams upstream, causing heavy floods in parts of what is Pakistan's most populous province. Monsoon rains have killed more than 800 people in Pakistan since June. And that's the Truth on Radio Generation. Good morning. I'm Winnie Maganga.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was more morning radio. But now there is Radio Generations, the people's breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The people's breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
A very good morning to you and welcome to Radio Generation. The time right now is 7 minutes past 8 o'clock. My name is Mung'ala Mbuvi. I'm with City in studio and we do have our guest, and I believe there's another guest coming through, and we shall introduce them as they do come in. But for now we have Sungu Oyuu. It's Sungu Oyuu. He is an activist and coordinator Mwamko Africa. A very good morning to you, Sungu. Karibu tena sana to Radio Generation.
Thank you.
Karibu sana. And also joining Mr. Oyuu is Dr. Daniel Kanchori. He's a political analyst and senatorial aspirant, Kajiado County. Karibu sana, Daktari Daniel, to Radio Generation.
Asante and good morning.
Good morning to you too. Let me start with Sungu. Sungu, you're an activist and you engage with citizens actively, having conversations. How has the experience been? Because we know nowadays activists are not what we used to know them as 10 years ago. Nowadays activists are actually becoming endangered species. Maybe you can give us a comment on that.
Many thanks, and especially for inviting me to the show, City and Mbuvi. I think activism in this country, in many ways, or rather if we are to look at the history of this country, it has been shaped by activism in different forms over the decades. And so right from the struggle for independence, we've had young people at the forefront of processes to create change. In the days of the underground in the 70s and 80s, the struggle for multi-party democracy, and up to this present moment. However, what creates the biggest difference between these present moments and other historical periods is the amount of violence coming from the state towards those who are demanding for a better society. Because I'm a member of Kongamano la Mapinduzi, where I serve as national spokesperson. And when we went on the streets last year, we were simply demanding for dignity. We were saying that we do not want to be humiliated and subjugated as a people. But what we received in return was bullets, was violence, and basically unprecedented levels of violence, which included abductions and killings. And so I think in many ways our society has regressed. The instruments of the state have been weaponized against the people. But of course we keep on marching on because it is the people who are the motive force of history. It is them who create history.
Yeah. And we're going to be talking about, obviously, the rising temperatures, political temperatures in the country. But Daktari, over to you in regards to the same question I've asked him. Activism in this country is not what it was 10 years ago. Actually, it's not the way it was during the times of President Moi. We saw a bit of activism, but not as much during the time of President Kibaki. And then again, another wave came up during the time of President Uhuru. And now we are seeing an intensive process as far as that is concerned during President Ruto's tenure. Perhaps, what are your comments as far as activism is concerned in the country?
Thank you, Mbuvi and City, for having me. We are celebrating 15 years of our constitution, and during the Moi era, we were operating on an old constitution where the president was Baba na Mama.
Yes.
Then came the new constitution, which now as enshrines those rights, freedom of expression, freedom of association, and that has actually opened a big window and space for activism. And you know, when there is activism, it signifies failed systems, failed promises, and when the elected representative of the people and the government of the day does not meet up to the expectation of the people, hence it creates the civil society's space to be able to fill that gap, because nature abhors a vacuum. And with the new constitution, then comes more rights, more expectation for the civil society, and that's what has made it grow. But basically, it's failed system, failed promises. And when the elected representative of the people, you've seen our MPs now are being auctioned. Actually, they go for the higher bidder. When you see the president saying that kunaka 10 million ilitumana manze na mukupata, then that calls for the civil society. We've seen also organization like the LSK coming up strongly. So the civil societies are not just now individualized, but now they've come through organized groups, organizations, and their voice is actually being heard. When they speak, then Wanjiku has spoken.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wanjiku indeed has spoken. And Oyoo, I'll come back to you as far as Wanjiku speaking up is concerned. Wanjiku lately has been really loud. But somehow, for some strange reason, that voice is finding a lot of, what is it called? It's finding a lot of, I'm looking for the Swahili word. Not Swahili, but English. Like, anapatana na ukuta nyingi sana akijaribu kuongea. And it is actually forcing people, it is putting people in some situations they never thought they would find themselves in. For instance, abductions. In a day and age where social media is huge, where technology is huge, where we can see you at any given time, where you are, what you're doing, and who you're with, what does that mean for activists? Because in the past, it wasn't necessarily like that. During the times of Professor Wangari Maathai, for example, when she was really fighting President Moi and some of the policies that he was putting ahead, we didn't have that, but she was still as vocal, and she was a movement. Like, just by herself, she was like huge deal. But right now, we are seeing so many activists, but the energy sort of is dissipating amongst themselves. Is it a matter of strategy, or is it a matter of everyone is not pulling in the same direction?
First, I think we have to look backward. Chief Justice Emeritus Willy Mutunga once said that the Kenyan Constitution really is a good document. And he said that we are like people who gave birth to a child, which is the Constitution, then gave it to child traffickers to raise the child, and expected to have good outcomes out of that process. And so the people in charge of the country today, by and large, are also those who opposed the 2010 Constitution and led the No Brigade in 2010. Yet the Kenyan masses expect them to be in charge of implementing this very document, this very Constitution, which should be the heartbeat of the nation.
Yeah.
I think if we are to look at where we are today, and in terms of strategy and tactics, I think last year shows, because when the Gen Zs came to the street, both last year and this year, they said we are tribeless. That was the first slogan of the insurrection. And in saying that they are tribeless, they could already see through the ethnic divisions that are created in society, not necessarily to benefit the people, but to benefit the so-called political leaders, because to a large extent the political leaders act in their interests and use the people as bargaining chips. But I think over the past few months, one of the things that has become very clear is that the people have decided to act as a collective force. Just last week, there was a meeting of a Congress of the Kenya Left Alliance, which brought together many of the movements and progressive organizations in this country, including Kongamano la Mapinduzi. And in that Congress, these progressive forces vowed to work together, because if they are to act in isolation, then all of them are so small such that they are easily crushed.
Daktari, again, are the voices loud enough? Are they united in their cause?
You see, my brother Mbuvi, during the Moi era, there were the activists were fighting some global cartels then, which had captured this country. For example, IMF will bring some regulations for the government to comply before they were given funds. You will see these multinationals bringing some bills to parliament, and the MPs will be bribed to pass them. Remember during Gilu time. And this had agitated the NGO, so we will have some global cartels in the name of activists at that time. And they're also fighting dictatorship.
when you say global cartels, you mean those multinationals? Multinationals,
yeah. We have multinationals who will impose some bills on Kenyans and the government of the day. And then you remember the one party rule of Moi, where the president was the law. Now we have a new generation of activists, the Gen Zs, and the issues they are fighting are now different because, one, they're asking for accountability, transparency. We've also seen the political parties. The church is coming out strongly. We've seen the Catholic Church. So you see now the united opposition. Previously, politicians will come together to fight for space positions. And I think President Ruto is a victim of his own agendas, because he said that Kenya will no longer be about individuals. It's going to be about issues.
Yes.
And you see now Kenyans are talking about issues, SHA, education, the finance bill, the housing bill. So now this activism is no longer a far-fetched issue. It is actually a day-to-day activities, a day-to-day forum that is going on, because as and when issues arise, then we have people addressing them. We've seen our Gen Zs that have gone to the street, and is part of our constitution, because when you read Article 1, it says all supreme power belongs to the people, and they can choose to delegate it. And we've seen the Gen Zs literally asking for that delegated power back, and they went up to parliament. That is unprecedented. It has never happened in this country, and it's a good move to show that we also seen our constitution talking about the public participation, where now the common mwananchi have a say on anything. The president cannot just wake up and
make declarations,
make a declaration. We've seen our courts also annulling some even parliamentary bills because the Wanjiko was not involved. So this is a good move. It's actually our constitution is working, and the civil society and the common mwananchi themselves now are realizing the power they have. They say in everything that is happening.
City would actually have a different perspective as far as the constitution working. City care to
actually it is working.
Only that it has been bastardized.
Oh, that it has, but that in itself is an even perhaps more clearer sign that it is working, because why would you want to interfere with it? And the answer to that is very simple. This constitution, as it was promulgated, works against the interest of the political class. It's like an anathema. It's something that they were going to have to fight, because the implementation of it in its entirety would have seen the sort of changes we keep talking about. For instance, if you look at what we like referring to as Chapter 6, there are very many people who would never vie for any position. They'd be discontinued even before they got anywhere. So when President Uhuru was at the helm and the president of the country, that is where they ensured. You look at issues regarding the recalling of members of parliament, there was a clear process. That again was completely desecrated. You can recall in theory, but the practice of it is near impossible. The political class and those in political leadership did not want this constitution. The vast majority did not want it. The imperial presidency that we had appeals more to the people who often seek political leadership. And the underlying thing that we note, and which raises the question of what happens to these people whom we consider to be good, and when they're elected, they metamorphosize into some creatures that we can't actually recognize. It tells you our inner workings and what it is that we are about and what we prefer. Because there are leaders who are elected and they carry that mantle that they swore they would maintain. And you see them. The only problem in the country is that there are not very many. We had assumed that when we brought about devolution, that very many of the issues that people complain about would come to an end. There have been very many wonderful changes that have come about as a result of devolution.
Yeah.
But it's a drop in the ocean. It's a far cry from what could actually be achieved with the monies that have been given out over the years. And there's always a pushback whenever you bring this argument to those who are in those positions. And the pushback is, but you see, the money has delayed. You say, yeah, we get all that, we understand all that, but you've received money. What have you done? Even as you ask for more money. Let's take the view, the very, very positive view that 60% of that money goes into paying salaries. They're all there. You're local, they're your people. Okay, now the 40% which remains, what have you done with it? The Auditor General answers that question for us very clearly, because the audit queries that we keep reading about tells you where that money goes to.
Yeah.
And the person for whom devolution was supposed to be, if I may say, quote unquote, the savior, remains in the same position that they were in before. And then we developed then an attitude in this country where we are grateful for very little that we receive. And people frame, but you see, this has happened. You say, forget that nonsense. That is pittance. That is not what you're supposed to have received. So stop being grateful for it. We're very grateful. Stop being grateful.
To a point of worshipping.
Stop being grateful. That is your right. It should have happened. And that it hasn't happened, you should hold the person for whom that responsibility rests to account. And that's why you hear me talking about holding people to account all along. So does the Constitution work? Yes, it does. This conversation is testimony of the fact that the Constitution works.
Oyuu, you want to run for president come 2027, and we were just talking about, by the way, presidential candidates in this country.
Yes.
Boniface Mwangi did also declare his candidature for 2027, and I'm sure by the time we are getting to the end of the year, perhaps we shall have added a few more names to that particular list. In regards to how people vote in this country, what makes you think you have a chance?
I think first and foremost, we have to look at the history of this country, and like I mentioned earlier, how ethnicity has been weaponized and also how politics has been monetized in this country. But one of the things we have to do is to create a new kind of politics that goes beyond ethnicity, that goes beyond money, and that in itself is not an easy task. We have to plan around and campaign around issues. We have to organize ourselves out of our movements, organizations, and even political parties, and go to the grassroots and campaign from that particular level. I think one of the things which in my mind really rings a bell all the time is the fact that in a major way the old Kenya is dead. There might be attempts by the ruling class, the ruling elite, to reverse some of the gains we have made over the past year, especially since the uprising, and to try, one, reignite ethnicity, and negate one of our slogans, which was tribeless. And so I think for us, it's to keep on pushing with our generational mission, our historical responsibility, and make sure that we make this campaign issue-based. Because if you talk to young Kenyans today, the youth unemployment rate in this country is at 67.7%.
Yes.
This unemployment doesn't happen because you are Luo, Kikuyu, or Kalenjin. It just happens because the economy is in shambles. There are no opportunities for young people. People are sleeping hungry, and when hunger comes knocking, it doesn't ask about your ethnicity. It comes because you do not have the resources to get food.
Yeah.
And so I think Kenyans at a fundamental level will also have to make these fundamental decisions on the way in which we want the country to move forward and the way in which our generation wants to birth the new republic.
Right.
Because like Kanchori said, yesterday we were celebrating 15 years of since the promulgation of the 2010 constitution. What gains have we realized out of that constitution? It is every day being trashed. Parliament, like most Kenyans know, has almost been turned into an auction house.
Almost.
No, it is
a market.
Differentiating parliament with, how do you call it, Kimalel goat auction is actually quite difficult, because the highest bidder directs how the process goes. And so I think for our generation, there are fundamental issues, one around unemployment, two around economic opportunities, which is why the government has been exporting young people out of this country for years, a few years now, and saying we are looking for opportunities in Dubai and whatnot. Go and work as nannies,
those opportunities
drivers.
Real though?
They are not opportunities, because we want to stay here and build this country.
Right.
The government has failed to build opportunities for us, or create opportunities, and it is shipping us out, because it sees this huge bulge of young people in the country who are discontented as a threat to it. And so the only solution it has is ship them out of the country, which is not how you develop a country, which is not how you grow a country. And so I think at a fundamental level, given our political program of action at the Kenya Left Alliance and the issues we are focusing on, the material needs of the people, whether it is healthcare, whether it is education, whether it is equal opportunity for all, whether it is reclaiming our sovereignty as a people, looking at the debt and everything that needs to be corrected in this country, I think we stand a great chance to have that renewal in society. Because even when you look at the level of conversation and the level of political consciousness, it has taken a great leap forward over the past 1 or 2 years.
I like the fact that he's mentioned the level of political awareness of Kenyans, Daktari. And you're a senatorial aspirant, yes?
Yes, I am.
Kajiado County.
And former member of County Assembly, Kitengela.
Kitengela.
Yes.
See my neighbors, eh? Now, when we talk about this whole issue of Chapter 6, leadership and integrity, and we've agreed here several times with City that if we were to hold every single leader in Kenya today, political or otherwise, they might not necessarily pass that particular integrity, leadership and integrity test. Do you feel like Kenyans actually realize how critical that is for them to decide who becomes their next leader at any level, MCA all the way to the president?
As City said, we have some positive achievements with our new constitution. Because one, we now have an enlightened electorate who understands their rights. Previously, I remember when I was growing up, I think I saw my member of parliament twice throughout his tenure. It was a miracle to see a member of parliament. When he comes, we will dance ourselves crazy.
This is when you were very young.
Yeah, when I was very young. And getting a bursary was a miracle. And these are some of the... I remember when I was studying in the university, my member of parliament then was the Minister for Education and Vice President. My mom took me
Professor
Saitoti took me to his office for 3 weeks looking for an appointment to get a bursary.
You'd go there every day?
Every day, and you go every day, Monday to Friday.
Yes.
And that actually what motivated me to be an MCA, because what is this big deal of just getting a bursary? So to answer your question, we have positive achievements in our constitution so far, and an enlightened electorate, and this is actually now bringing pressure. It is bringing discomfort on the status quo, because the leaders they will come, as it says, bring some peremende. Our women and girls will dance, tumepata hii, and you can see the nonsense going on with empowerment now, and where the government is focused on short-term political or whatever policies or agendas, rather than a long-term strategy for the people.
Right.
So they're just focusing on short-term things that can excite, make them look like they are famous, they are doing very well, people are happy, they clap. But then what after that? We don't have a strategy. We don't have a long-term plan for the country in terms of education, in terms of health and all that. So the electorate are now getting agitated because of the failed promises. And in our mother tongue, there is a saying that says you just lie to a person and run away, because you cannot lie the same person twice. You can fool some people sometime, but not all the people all the time. So it's catching up on the political class that the things they are doing is not working. That's why you are seeing a lot of activities today. We have this. We saw the president declaring an emergency Katiba Day, and it was so obvious. You are wondering on Monday, and the day is just the next.
Yes.
So there is a lot of.
You're feeling like this should have been said weeks in advance.
Yeah, weeks in advance, so that can build a conversation. You saw that whatever was happening was just a PR. There's nothing much.
Okay.
So my answer to your question is that
would leaders stand that test? Leadership.
If you read
integrity,
article, I think 73, it talks about the office which the leader is appointed. He holds it as trust on behalf of the people, and he should display respect for that office and for the people and even for the country. So it's not for that individual person. He is holding it for trust. In trust for the people, and they should display respect. And you will wonder what our, for example, our MPs, because by now Parliament should just be dissolved. Because if they are actually passing punitive legislation and they are being bought to pass bills, well, you say our constitution brought something called separation of powers, which was an excellent provision of law, where all the arms of government now operate independently and without influence from the others. I pity my friends here, the activists, because you see now, like the police are not under the command of the interior minister nor of the president. They are independent, but when you see them being paraded by the
do they know
minister,
do they know they're independent?
It's in the constitution.
They know.
And you see they are actually unasikia polisi wanasema tunatekeleza sheria. So the first and foremost they should know that that sheria says that they are independent.
Daktari, knowledge is often accompanied by corresponding actions.
Yes.
Do the police service act as people who are independent?
Absolutely not, which is actually is unconstitutional, because they are when you see the IG, the Inspector General of Police, working like is the bodyguard of the Interior Minister. The other day I was telling my friend Murkomen that it's not a Kenya Kwanza Interior Minister. He's a Minister for Interior for all the Kenyans, the activists, the youth, the opposition leader, the government. Because that's what the constitution says. Even the minister for health, for example, he's not a minister for political party, Kenya Kwanza. He's a minister of the Republic of Kenya. But when you see people who are appointed in government and they are speaking like they are representative of political parties, it beats the constitution, because whatever they are saying, they don't show respect for the people. They don't show respect for that office, and they seems like they own that government. The government of Kenya is for everybody.
But Daktari, how do you think these people in leadership end up behaving in the manner that you describe? Do we Kenyans, do we even respect ourselves? We talk about respecting the Constitution. Do we understand the Constitution, and do we understand the benefits that accrues for all of us in that Constitution? And do we understand the power that the Constitution confers upon us? Do we actually know this? Does Parliament, when you see them going about their business, know and understand that they are an arm of government and that they are actually independent? Do they? The judiciary, from time to time, we get the impression the individuals there who clearly know that they're independent and they act independently. But Parliament? The citizenry, do we actually know these things?
And you see, the challenge is when we get, we've seen a few judges acting independently, and it looks like a surprise. It's become, in this country, it's now a big deal when you see somebody actually who understands what's supposed to be done. We see them like a big savior. So, as you say, knowledge and action are two different things. And for example, the people who are mandated to ensure the implementation of this constitution, like our police. I saw yesterday in the Senate how they handled the former Senator Oruoba. That was uncalled for. It was actually an abuse to our police. When you see a police woman holding another woman's legs, unapanua mguu ya mama mwingine, right?
And Oruoba knew that's why she came in trousers. Alijua katanuka huko.
She was just coming to serve a court order, and you see when the court orders are being disrespected by the Senate, and that's where it's called the upper house. I don't agree with Oruoba, but on that, the law ought to have been followed. Court order served, and the police to ensure that her rights are...
Let me ask you, Mheshimiwa, in this country, once you are aspiring, you're a Mheshimiwa, but you already a Mheshimiwa. Because the moment, and by the way, the Mheshimiwa follows you even if you're no longer in any political position. When you Mheshimiwa, once you...
Permanent and pensionable.
Once you're elected, when you Mheshimiwa. Now, if you look at the way we ourselves respond to the Constitution, simple question, do you actually think we've embraced it? Forget the other units of government. Have we actually embraced it? Have we actually understood, or are we still stuck in the understanding of the Constitution during the imperial presidency that we had before? Where do you think we are as a citizenry?
Actually, the big challenge is that in this country, the currency that runs everything is politics. Politics is the currency, and it affects everything. When it appreciates or depreciates, you know that the political temperature in this country can decide whether you come to work tomorrow or not, or what time you are going to live here.
Yeah.
In the civilized countries, when I visit, like the other day I was in Canada, they had an election. I was surprised that election took over. I didn't see
any pomp and color.
I didn't see any pomp and color. There were some disagreements. People went to court, but there was no drama. But in this country, I think the time that our people, the Wanjiku, realized the power they have, and that whatever pomp and color the politicians have is they have the power. Article 1. It was displayed by the Gen Zs. I think the Gen Zs are our true Mau Mau of our times.
Yeah. How exactly are they the true Mau Mau?
They for the first time, the president withdrew a bill. It has never happened in this country. The MPs ran away from parliament. And they were called to account that they can't just pass anything without listening to the so-called ground. That was a good display that the NGs have done. And you can see now everybody is very cautious. Whatever they do, they have to, if not listen,
consult.
Look like they are consulting. You don't just, and even the MPs now, how you are going to go back to your constituency depends on how you behave there in parliament. That's a good move. That's a big step towards the right direction.
But other things that also happened, which I consider unsavory, people got properties burnt, houses burnt.
Absolutely.
People became afraid. Now the problem with fear is that when the fear goes, what do you think that person does? Because that fear, if it was a tool, it should have been maintained. And so maintain it how? Burn more houses, threaten more people? How exactly? What is it that would be a solution that is lasting? Because the point the Gen Zs were making was long overdue. And the position they took was again long overdue. They were right in what they were saying. They were absolutely right. They were reacting. They, in fact, were the clear barometer. They were indicating, my friend, the health condition of this country is this, and this is where we stand with it. And it was there for everybody to see. And as the movement continued, the support also continued until it was interfered with. Now, there's a lot of talk about Gen Zs, and Mbuvi here corrected me in the morning and said, you keep referring to Gen Z. I said, for me, Gen Z is a generic term for young people. So, let me refer to the youth as a group. What do you think, this is a question to both of you, prevents the youth from activating the force that they actually are to bring about the change that they can bring in the same peaceful manner they demonstrated last year? What prevents them?
I think we generally every society, like I mentioned earlier, fundamental change in society, in Kenyan society over the years has mostly been led by young people. However, we've also seen, like across all generations, there's also been people in our generation who've betrayed us in one way or the other. There's those who've joined the dominant political formations. There's
how is that a betrayal?
Huh?
How is it a betrayal?
That is a betrayal because when we were on the streets, we were fighting for a particular set of issues. So we were struggling towards a particular set of issues.
Which included distancing yourselves from already established political outfits.
Yes.
Why?
We wanted to distance ourselves from the root causes of Kenya's problems and not join ourselves with them at the hip.
So our political parties, in your view, were anchored on the political party. Our political problems were anchored on the political parties that we have. You are alleging that they are the source of the problems that we have as they are currently constituted.
They are the conveyor belts of the problem. The problem is systemic and structural. They are the conveyor belts of the problem, and the political leaders in those parties are the implementers of the problem, and who have been dragging us back and behind over the years. And so it's like, for example, at the current moment, after people were shot and killed last year and this year, they say, we will form a commission, the recently formed Makau Mutua-led commission, to investigate, agree on compensation and all these things. And one of the questions we have to ask is, how much is a Kenyan life worth? What was the cost of Baby Pendo's life? Can you quantify it? How do you perpetrate such levels of violence on people and then say, we'll create a mechanism and then try and pretend that we've arrived at a solution? This is why we say these people are part of the problem at a structural level. Because at the first instance, no one should have been killed for simply making demands within the confines of the Constitution. There is other young people who, because of their economic situation, they've been disenfranchised, they're unemployed, they are poor, they are locked out of opportunities, agreed to be bought and used as goons. This year we were attacked on the streets in town and thoroughly beaten by these very goons. They are from our generation. And at a fundamental level, I do not think they're part of the problem. I think the problem, the root cause of the problem is the lack of opportunities for them. They're in such a position such that if offered 1,000,
they will jump on that opportunity.
They will jump on that opportunity because they do not know where to get 1,000 from. And sometimes we underestimate the importance of an amount like 1,000 because there's parts of Nairobi where someone's rent for the month is 1,000 and they can earn it in a day. And so I think for me, at a fundamental level, young people will really have to rethink and reframe the future of this country. Even if we are to talk about the Constitution, its full implementation will only come when young people are able to unite around a particular program of action, a political program of action, around a set of ideas which can then be used to define this generation and its aspirations.
My question was, what prevents the very thing that you are saying from happening?
There might be roadblocks, but nothing really prevents it. There have been steps towards that. When young people came to the streets, they already showed that they can unite and that they can steer the course of this country in a particular direction. Like I mentioned earlier, last week, when the Kenya Left Alliance met, it was a gathering of different movements and progressive forces who said, this country is headed in the wrong direction. We do not think that if we are to stay passive, anything positive will come out of our futures. And so, despite all our, we disagree on many things as young people. But one of the things we agree on is that we need to create a new and radiant future because to a large extent, all that this country offers us at the present moment is poverty, is humiliation, is death. How do you then create new worlds How do you create these new worlds which can guarantee at the most minimum level dignity?
Yeah.
Article 43 of the Constitution gives us the right to education, to healthcare, social security, water. You know, more than 60 years after independence, people in this country do not have access, a lot of people do not have access to clean drinking water. People are still dying from malaria. More than 60 years after independence. Cholera. Like, there's a lot of problems in this country. By simply, for example, supplying people with clean water, you can solve. A lot of people go to hospital because of problems caused by unclean water and stomach problems.
Right.
Especially babies. There's so much problems you can solve, and even savings you can make from the health budget by simply supplying people with clean water. And I think nothing at a fundamental level, you know, in 63 Kenyatta said we are going to fight ujinga, maradhi na umaskini. Look at whether it's the Ruto administration, the Uhuru administration, all of them have been speaking the same thing 60 years after independence, only packaging it differently. Mambo ya shashi, healthcare,
maradhi.
Mambo ya housing,
maskini,
mambo ya education. But then, like Ruto, he got into power, raised university fees, then constituted a commission to look into the high cost of university education.
But in his defense,
it's a game
he actually reduced that money a bit, but not in all sectors.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a question I want to ask you, and you said the Kenya Left Alliance. Is that a political party?
No, it is
an association.
It is an umbrella of progressive movements, progressive organizations, and parties. Ukweli Party, through which I will be running for president,
yes,
where I'm one of the candidates, is a member of the Kenya Left Alliance. So I was speaking about the wider collective.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, the reason I've asked you that is because Gen Zs came out, and here now we're going to go with the CT's term. Gen Z means the youth. So Gen Zs came out and said that we want to be tribeless and partyless. How do you think, in your opinion, because I'm assuming that is going to be one of your largest constituencies, the young people, how are you going to convince them that here is a party, yes, but it's going to be a different party from the legacy parties, the ODMs and the Wipers and the DAPs and so on and so forth? How are you going to convince them? Because I am inclined to agree with you that, yes, some of the problems we are facing right now are systemic, and that system includes the legacy parties. But now here is you coming through a party. You could have decided to go independent, but you have decided to go with a party. So how are you going to convince the young people that this is a different kind of party?
Gen Zote basically said, made three fundamental remarks at the height of our collective actions last year, that we are tribeless, partyless, and leaderless. When young people said that they were partyless, they did not necessarily say that they cannot be part of parties. What they were saying was that among the dominant political formations, which were in parliament at that time, and parliament was adapting the finance bill or voting in its favor, none of them was working in their interest. That is why young people are saying that they are partyless.
They were disassociating themselves from those.
They were not saying we can never be part of parties. I think the word partyless has also been mischaracterized. It's in the same way that the same Gen Z said we are leaderless. When they said they are leaderless, they did not mean that their actions arise out of a lack of leadership. They were saying they are leaderless because they knew that if they exposed their leadership, there was high likelihood that they would be targeted by the state. Because you remember the actions at that time. And so let us come back to the party issue.
Yes.
I think young people are not stupid. Young people know what they want for themselves. And that
do they?
They know what they want for themselves.
We're going to come back to that, but go on.
They know what they want for themselves. And we have to work in this particular case. If we are to talk about an electoral process, we've exercised our democratic rights on the streets, but now we are working towards the election. We are less than 2 years. Actually, we are in August. We are 2 years to the election. And we know that oppressed people anywhere have never won without organization. A party is a level of organization. How do we organize ourselves for the electoral process?
Okay.
It is an electoral party. And if, because you asked about the independent route.
Yes.
In the last election, I was supporting Ruben Kigame's campaign. And he was running independent. And if you remember, you can see the ways in which he was frustrated by the system and denied an opportunity to be on the ballot. And so we are also learning from our own experiences and what we have seen happening in this country, which is why I think it is important that we have a definitive political instrument in the form of a political party.
Okay, I agree with you as far as that is concerned. Daktari, I want to ask you a question and I'll circle back to our presidential candidate here. You have been an MCA. I want to understand, is it any different? Because tunasikianga kuna hii story ya deep state, and I'm sure at the county level there's some level of deep stateness. And when I say deep state, I'm alluding to the fact that perhaps things on the ground as far as leadership are concerned are not what we imagine them to be. There's something that only someone in power would understand, that someone on the outside here wouldn't understand. And I'm talking about the fluid dynamics of power. Once you become an MCA, for example, how easy or difficult was it for you to actually move motions in the county assembly, and motions and that can actually help the people of your ward? And how difficult or easy was it for you to effect things that you needed done for your ward while you were an MCA?
I'll combine your question with the cities on what is making the youth not become effective. One, before even we talk about how easy or hard it was, you talk first how easy and or hard it was to become, even to get that position. I was just freshly from the campus, and I came and found that a birth certificate, people were charged 3,000-4,000 to get a birth certificate, which constitutionally is around 150 shillings. I got pissed off. How? Why? Because you go to the chief, before he signs for you a document, you give 1,000. You are told,
do you get a receipt for that 1,000?
From where? Where kwenu ni sijui Kisumu. So go and see your chief there. So you imagine the fare, leaving your kiosk. You go to the nearest registration center, they tell you this thing will take another 1 month, so to fast track it, give 3,000. So I got pissed off because of that. And even my experience of not getting a bursary for a whole, a whole year. Just getting a bursary from the MP and the Minister for Education and the Vice President then. So things motivated me. And when I was campaigning, there are what we call cartels. The gatekeepers in the political arena.
Gatekeepers of power.
If somebody has not said okay, then you are wasting your time. See, those are the challenges even our young people are going through, because now there are those cartels. Kama hujapitia fulani, or you've not come through a certain political party, and you realize that you don't come from a certain tribe, because our politics are based on tribal and region. In this country, there is a region, if you don't get a ticket of a certain political party, then your ambition is as good as dead. And there are areas when you get that political party's ticket, it's as good as you are the next a member of parliament or senator. And if you come from a certain tribe, it's as good as done. So there are so many factors which are a challenge to our young people. And you realize that these political parties is umelete nini, ukona nini, and you find most of our young people, they are unemployed, wako na stress, hawana kazi.
They can't afford that money.
So those are the many challenges, and that's why this issue of tokenism, 1,000, if you give somebody 1,000, hiyo ni umemsort kama siku mbili tatu. And that's why we have now the so-called state organized goons, because ukikuwa sahi na 1,000, maybe 100,000, you can manage
100 people.
And no, a lot of people. Ukipatia 500, 200, 300. That's what now the government of the day is resorting to. And then it brings divide and rule for our young people. As an MCA then, the challenges will be, because when you want to pass a certain bill, it affects a lot of people. So there are those I call the cartels in that sector. And people will be given money to pass or not pass, not just to pass, but even not pass certain bills, because they affect a certain sector. They bring regulation, because the law brings transparency, accountability. So when people don't want their sector to be touched, or because the law is like a light, when the law on a certain area comes. For example, I saw the CS for health talking about money being sent erroneously to facilities that have not been registered. Not even registered. They are not even complete. And in this country, we have a regulatory authority that ensures that even before an hospital is operational, it is accredited, it is registered, and even the services that is supposed to, there is that accountability. And there are laws that are there. So when you oversight such sectors, you realize that, I remember an example, we had somebody who will import waste from abroad and come and incinerate. He used to run an incinerator in Kitengela, very specific. And that incinerator was affecting the local community. Women will, children will be sick, affected. The landlords, the tenants will run away from that area. So it was even affecting the economic sector of that area. But then the local administration were on the payroll of that person. And when I came to fight it, the guy brought me 1 million in a paper bag. I said no. Shika hii bana na unyamaze. When I said no, I was wondering, sasa hii Kanchori ni mtu gani? It was he was surprised that somebody can say no. And ultimately, the factory was closed. But you could see even my life was in danger. There is a time they were demolishing houses along the roads. And I said, we are going to do it for everybody. Whether it's the president or the minister, as long as you're on the road, all the houses will go. I had to disappear for like a week, because now they are looking for me, because now there are things that you step, you are now umekanyanga vidole za watu. And that's why most of our MPs cannot talk, because either wamekula
washakuwa compromised,
ama wamekuwa compromised, ama wametishiwa maisha. Those two things, you are either compromised or you are threatened that maybe they will expose you, or they will even come for your life. You've seen MPs being shot in broad daylight. So that is, being a legislator is actually a risk. So I want to tell my friend here, as he looks for the presidency, to be prepared that it's not just a walk in the park. There are cartels. There is a lot of being compromised, and even putting your life on the line. And that's where many people are not willing to go. And that's why they just keep quiet. Kula mshahara yako, endelea na maisha yako.
So thank you very much, Dr. for that. And there's a reason why I asked you that. I want us to take a short break. And when we come back, we shall ask Mr. Oyuu whether he is actually ready for these kinds of things, because things actually sound nice on paper, and when you put out a manifesto and when you talk on radio, and we use all this amazing language. But if we're being honest, in terms of delivery, just how are we going to deliver? And I'm going to ask you that because perhaps it's some of the things that we're seeing the current administration facing, from the MCAs all the way to the president. So do stand by for that. We're taking a short break. Here's the news with Winnie Maganga. Tukirudi, of course, the conversation continues on Radio Generation.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. The Kenya National Union of Nurses has warned of a nationwide disruption of health services. The nurses say they will institute industrial action should counties fail to absorb universal health coverage staff and pensionable terms beginning September 1st, 2025. KNUN Secretary General Seth Panyako, reacting to remarks by Council of Governors Health Committee Chairperson Muthomi Njuki, who opposed the directive by Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale, maintained that the directive must be implemented.
We are telling them that if this conversion does not take from 1st of September, we will camp at the headquarters of all governors in this country until those letters are issued. I heard the governor for Tharaka-Nithi Njuki saying that he wants the money fast, resources fast, then UHC can be converted. I want to remind him that the Constitution and the County Government Act are very clear. The Constitution says resources follow functions.
TikTok has launched its TikTok for Artists platform in Kenya. The video sharing giant has introduced new tools designed to help musicians and their teams track music performance, connect with fans, and expand their reach globally. The platform, which was rolled out worldwide earlier this year, serves as a central hub of insights, combining performance analytics, audience data, and creative tools. It allows artists to record labels and managers to monitor how their music is performing and how fans are interacting with their content both on TikTok and beyond. Following an increase in juvenile gangs in Umoja and its Nairobi environs, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations has launched comprehensive investigations. The probe comes after a viral video on social media showing a group of boys engaged in violent clashes, which led to the death of 15-year-old Joshua Kibuti, who died of his injuries while receiving treatment in hospital. Police have established that the youngsters aged between 12 and 19 have formed rival groups. Earlier in the week, Wycliffe Muganda, a community leader in Umoja, told the media that the gangs are notorious for mugging and physical assaults.
One of the parents shared with us that the group, they work in a group of 10, 5, 15 going up. That the moment, anytime they meet a fellow age mate that is having a chain or a nice watch or a belt, they will take it, whether you like it or not.
They're looking for those new recruits. They're looking for those who have abdicated, and they're also looking for those who actually are not willing to join them.
Kenya's judiciary must prove itself as true haven for justice for all Kenyans by tackling corruption within its ranks, says President William Ruto. Speaking during the Katiba Day celebrations on Wednesday, the head of state said public confidence in the courts will collapse if the institution was perceived as corrupt. He said if the institution mandated to dispense justice is perceived as corrupt, it erodes confidence and undermines the constitution.
The judiciary must confront corruption within its own ranks. I am aware of the vigorous and often unsettling conversation around terms like jury pesa. As painful as this may be, they cannot be ignored. If the institution mandated to dispense justice is perceived as corrupt, it not only erodes confidence, but undermines the very constitution it is sworn to protect. The judiciary must rise to its highest calling to cleanse itself, uphold its independence with integrity.
A new United Nations report has revealed that 8% of Kenyans still practice open defecation. This points to a slow pace of progress in sanitation, despite notable gains over the past decade. The latest joint monitoring program findings released by World Health Organization and UNICEF show that the number of people relieving themselves in fields, bushes, street gutters, and other open spaces dropped from 12% in 2015 to 8% in 2024. Although this marks an improvement, the report cautions that Kenya is unlikely to achieve Sustainable Development Goal 6.2, which aims to end open defecation by 2030. And that's the Truth on Radio Generation. Good morning. I'm Winnie Maganga.
Traffic.
Let's look at your traffic right now. It is exactly 5 minutes past 9 o'clock, and I can assure you, Nairobi is thick. Kumeshikana. I'm looking at this barabara known as Langata Road. Heading towards T-Mall, if you're coming from Nairobi CBD, it's bumper to bumper at this particular hour. And even going past CBD looking bad. Douglas Wakihuri Road, pia huko inaenda kushikana Bunyala. It is currently bumper to bumper at this particular minute. Which other road is looking bad for you? Kuna hii barabara inajulikana kama hiyo imeshikana na Bunyala Road. So Bunyala Road, if you're getting into Commercial Street na huko industrial area, kameshikana. Also around Haile Selassie, getting into town is also bumper to bumper right now. Also, if you're coming from Uhuru Highway heading towards Haile Selassie, also bumper to bumper right now. The entire stretch actually of Haile Selassie as you're heading to the August 7th Memorial Park, also bumper to bumper, and past actually that roundabout. Getting basically right now the CBD is just imeshikana. Landis Road yote imeshikana. Muthurwa Market also bumper to bumper around the Ring Road as well. Yeah, situation around this other road known as Kenyatta Avenue. Also, if you're planning to join Kenyatta Avenue, if you're planning to join the Uhuru Highway, bumper to bumper, Kenyatta Avenue, both sides of the roundabout, kameshikana saizi. Another road that is looking very ugly, University Way, also bumper to bumper. If you're coming from University Way trying to join Uhuru Highway, bumper to bumper. And last but not least, ukielekea Westlands from University Way, that roundabout imeshikana. It's looking very ugly at this particular hour. So where is safe? Absolutely nowhere. You're only safe if you're probably using a bypass or the expressway. But anything on the roads you think we should know, please holla at a brother.
Traffic on Radio Generation.
All right.
In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
All right, so City is making threats in the studio. He said he's coming for Daktari's jugular. Doctor, I don't know if you're ready for that attack. Yeah, but anyway, so you remember, Mr. Oyuu, what Daktari said earlier on, that it's not easy getting into power and being in that position. So I don't know what your plans are, because lots of intimidation, lots of cartels, obviously, and gatekeepers and power brokers who will come and tell you, look, wewe fanya hivi, shika hii, nyamaza, ama shika hii tukusaidie hivi, na tukishafika hapa tutakufanyia hivi, ama utatusaidia kufanya hivi. How are you going to deal with that situation? Because I can assure you, even Uhuru himself at one point he said, pesa inaibiwa, mnataka nifanye nini?
I think one of the things we must do is to never consign ourselves to a state of hopelessness. Is to never think that there is anything new under the sun. There is nothing new under the sun, because in different parts of the world we have functional governments. In Kenya itself, there is government departments which were functional a decade ago, but which are not functional, or were functional 3 decades ago, but are no longer functional. I think one of the, at a basic level, we have to reorganize government in a fundamental way. Reorganize government and the institutions of government. And really implement the Katiba. If, for example, we're able to implement, like it was mentioned earlier, Chapter 6. Yes, there might be cartels, but all sovereign power belongs to the people. And the Constitution is the instrument the people have. And if those in positions of leadership are able to implement that constitution to the latter, I think we would be able to solve a lot of problems.
Why can't the people become a cartel? Why do we complain about the other cartels and the people are more? Why can't they form a cartel?
Because it would depend on the nature of the cartel they are forming. If they were forming a cartel to fight corruption, that would be very welcome. If they were forming if the people were to form a cartel to join the cartels in government, then that would be a negation of the forward march of our society. And so I think what we need to have is to have broad support among the population
I'm using the word cartel generically here for a very specific purpose. These are people who coalesce behind a certain idea, certain thought, certain intentions, and it is assumed that that coalition will bring certain benefits, which they all stand to gain from. So, if what exists works against the interests of the citizenry, what stops them from forming groups that actually counter these? I'm not saying form gangs where you go to fight. I'm simply saying
vigilantes.
Yes, you see, civil society does that. It's a cartel, if you're using that term very loosely. Okay, the church is a cartel, if you're using that term very loosely. Okay, they have not been very supportive of these things. The church has let us down considerably, in my opinion, considerably. How do you get people to understand that human beings, including these ne'er-do-well type politicians that we have in parliament, that they can actually be held to account? That they actually can, and they actually can do what they're supposed to do. I'm saying this because the vast majority were elected because they demonstrated they could actually do good.
I think to a large extent, Kenyan people and people across the world have an instinctive understanding of oppression. For example, if I'm to walk outside this building and maybe go to the shop at the corner, ask the person, what problems are you facing? Maybe they might say, high levies from the county, and say, it's eating on my profit. At an instinctive level, they already understand that. What we need to move to is a rational understanding of systems of oppression, such that people can now scratch below the surface and say, these levies are high because of A, B, C. For example, there is cartels in the county. Last year, when young people went to the street, I think, if I'm to use the word cartel again loosely, though I'm really trying to avoid it, during the insurrection, young people basically were able to put a stop, at least momentarily, to certain things in this country, and even for the first time in the history of this country.
How did that happen?
That happened through a raising of the collective consciousness of this generation. One, information, because we are in the information age. And a lot of them were able to share and disseminate information on online platforms and physically, and decide on collective action.
What was the deterrent? That's the question I'm asking. Because for you to halt something, those who were perpetrating it came to a halt. They were no longer progressing in the path they used to. What made them stop? Because they did stop.
What made them stop was the people exercising Article 1 of the Constitution, if I got your question right.
Yes.
The people, okay, Article 1 of the Constitution says all sovereign power belongs to the people. Who are the people? We are the people.
Including with those very same people who are perpetrating these ills. They are also still we the people. But they've clearly gone rogue, so we're not going to include them in this because they're not doing right by us. So those of us who want to reclaim what it is that is ours and what it is that we knew we were electing them for.
I think those in power have ceased to be part of we the people. They have become the anti-people because their actions, if they're denying the people education, denying the people healthcare, denying the people housing, denying the people opportunities, then they are the anti-people. They are not acting in the interests of the people. But I think at a really fundamental level, fundamental level, we have to, politically speaking, engage in processes of political education, raise this political consciousness, and engineer the social energies towards particular directions. For example, after the protest last year, there's a time when young people started occupying even some of the churches, the religious institutions, which they thought were acting against them, because they felt that this institution is a powerful institution, but it is being misused for political maneuvers. There is a time recently this year, when institutions of the state, like the office of the DPP and even the judiciary by extension, were being weaponized against some activists. There was the case of the Mudaiga 3, who were arrested and who are being charged with arson and everything. And the courts dropped the charges last week. And young people would show up in the hundreds to offer solidarity to the court, such that even the magistrates knew This case.
Are you saying they felt intimidated?
No, they did not feel intimidated because the DCI never came up with a charge. 2 months after presenting the people in court, they kept asking for an extension of time to investigate, making miscellaneous applications. There basically was no charge. No charge was read for the 2 months our comrades were in court.
Okay.
Even Boniface Mwangi is also still facing charges of terrorism. What is who's terrorist and what is terrorism? I think there is words and laws that are being weaponized against the people.
And so you do know that this is a mild form of what happened in the Moi era. I'm being specific, where the president had the power to even appoint judges. Prosecutors were essentially policemen and women. And so when you went to court, it was not difficult to figure out the outcome of that particular court process. We're in a different dispensation. A deterrent works when you know that a certain action will inevitably work against you. The outcome of it will not favor you. Thieves don't really like to be called thieves. And neither do they want people to know that they're thieves. They all want to pretend that they work very hard. That's why people will tell you stories of how they sell vegetables, they sell maca, they sell eggs. And you do the maths, you're wondering,
you're forgetting chicken.
This maths isn't working. We're one of the few countries in the world where you have people who declare their wealth when when they've gone to parliament, and there are issues around their wealth, and they mention huge amounts of money. And when you look at the background, there is no business that these people have or any value that they add that could justify the amounts of monies that they say they have.
Yeah.
Now, we all know the business that politicians do. They participate in the plunder of the state, whether it is through assumed businesses, but plunder is at the heart of it. Now, when you plunder, the very funds that you are using for yourself, instead of getting what is rightfully yours for whatever business you're doing, it means that you're now denying the ordinary citizens capitation money, drugs in the hospital, good roads, the very things that we are supposed to enjoy. When these things take place, that is precisely what you have done. But when they are welcomed and given positions of authority in, say, religious organizations, okay, and they are looked up to, and their money is accepted, okay, then they feel that they are okay. If you come to church as a member, your contributions even for the school is, they tell you, no, Mheshimiwa, you just come since you are a member of this community, but please, we do not want your contribution. Believe me, you will know and you will understand, because all these people have families. Nobody wants to be known in this country as somebody who does wrong. But when we institutionalize hypocrisy so that we understand it is wrong, but we'll pretend it isn't. So
there's something City said, has been saying actually, about it doesn't matter which leader we elect, as long as we, the citizens, hold that person to account. Now, there's a viewer here called Atticus Now. Atticus, I think, has summed this in one sentence. Amesema, make politicians fear the citizens. How do we make politicians fear us? Because as it is right now, we either fear them or worship them. How do we make politicians know that if they mess with us, they are going to have a very difficult time?
My brother Mbuvi and City, the problem we have in this country is the mentality of a savior, where politicians are elected on the platform that they are fixers, they are saviors. We don't need a savior in this country. We only had one, Jesus Christ, and there is no other. When you see an elected president or government trying to fix everything, you saw the Kenya Kwanza government came and they literally try to fix everything from healthcare, from education. And you see governments are elected the perpetual succession. You cannot come and undo what has been done 100. You either come to improve or better it. But the problem is when we have leaders who come and they want to fix and save everything. What we want, and is actually I want to give my brother here free legal advice or political advice. We just want working government systems and respect for the rule of law. Once we have those two, and the elected politician and government know that that's what they need to do. Let the government system work so that I don't have to know anybody in Nyayo House for me to have my passport fast-tracked. I just need to apply it wherever I am. This morning, yesterday in the morning, one lady came and the son is abroad and he lost a passport. And she was telling me to help her with 40,000 to have a passport replaced, and I was telling her, where did you hear that? Just go to the cyber, pay the requisite fee, and send whatever. She didn't know that that's the procedure, and that's when.
That means that probably she went to Nyayo House.
Went to Nyayo House, and she was told that hii kitu ni ngumu, wewe lete 40,000. You see, that's the kind of frustration the Kenyans have on the ground there. One, they don't understand their rights. We don't have a working government system. It's about who is there. Who will you find there? It's not about the system. So we have
they're designed to fail. And
actually, I beg to differ with you. We actually do have a working system. What we see are people who are determined to derail the system.
And when the system is derailed, then it fails to work.
That's what I'm saying. It is designed to fail.
No, it is not designed to fail. The system is designed to work. You run interference against it because of the gain that you want. Look, one of the reasons why the Kibaki government is praised and talked about is because of what you're saying, systems.
Yeah, we just need a system.
Suddenly, people like myself who were diehard skeptics started seeing things which I thought I would never see in my lifetime. One of them was the issue of a passport.
Yes.
I did not need to know anyone to get a passport to have it renewed. I didn't. You can imagine my surprise when I was actually told by a colleague of mine, all you need to do is go to the office, take this letter with you and tell them this is where you work and this is where you need to go. I said, are you sure? I said, go ahead. And I did. And I was told, how soon do you want it? I said, as soon as possible, because I need to travel in 3 days' time. And I was told, come back in the afternoon, but you need to pay 3,600, whatever it was, or 6,000, because I was asked, how many pages do you want? I said, the biggest. I was told, go and pay at that counter over there. I paid. I was given a receipt. Come back at 2.
And that's how our system ought to do.
And I said, when I saw it happening, I thought and said, you mean it is this simple? Getting a passport was a nightmare. A complete nightmare. Now, the system worked because people were put in positions, and these people were actually doing what they were supposed to do. And those who worked under them fell in line because the example was being set.
And actually the other challenge, what we just want is to have working system. And actually my advice to the government, free advice, just let the system work. Like for example, the SHA. Yesterday I'm getting prompts. Actually from here, I want to go to the DCI to report a statement because I am getting prompts to my SHA account and I have not visited any hospital and used it. So maybe that can shed light on this ghost whatever.
Hospitals.
You're being charged for things that you have
I am getting prompts that somebody is accessing my accounts and I've not visited any whatever hospital. So maybe that can... Just maybe.
So it means this system actually does work to some degree.
Working towards, it can work to achieve a certain agenda. So to answer your question, Mbuvi, let us have system work. Yes. We don't need a savior.
Okay.
Look at the education system. We have no certainty in our education policy. Today we have a CBC, tomorrow we have this. Actually, I went to school the other day to choose a school for my son who is in grade 9. And as a doctor and a lawyer, I felt stress. So I can imagine a mama mboga. We are back again to the school system, because this category, the classes, category 1, category 2, and even most of our schools have not achieved those levels, those categories. So just let the systems work. Somebody has lost an ID, go to the police station. You don't need to give a police something for him to write an abstract for you. Getting an ID in this country, and which is a very basic document, is a nightmare.
Okay.
Number 2, we need people to have courage and get united just to change this country.
Yes.
This country does not belong to the politician. The other issue is the money business. When now I say I'm vying for senatorial candidate for Kajiado County, I tell people I don't have money. I just have a vision.
How do they respond when you tell them you don't have money?
It's a big challenge. 1, I don't do Arambis because 1, it's not sustainable. 2, I don't have that money. And when you see this politician running here with helicopters, with money in their gunias, you've not seen any politician who has sold his cows.
Yeah.
Or who's recently sold a land, so that is bringing you that money. Those are our money, those are our taxes. And Kenyan is also a challenge to Kenyans, because they are actually brewing the corruption.
Actually, now that you've
hii pesa ni yetu, hii pesa sio ya hawa na siasa.
Both of you, starting with you, Daktari, how are you planning to fund your campaign?
I am going out there to sell my vision and calling the like-minded people like you. Sasa unajua nasimama Senate, so wanze kucheza kama wewe.
Okay.
But I'm telling the people, let us not vote a politician because he's given you money.
Okay.
Akikupatia hiyo pesa,
wewe
kula, lakini unajua ukimchagua juu amekupea pesa, they will come and recover. Because when you see a governor, for example,
what you've just said, forgive me for interrupting you. I was a witness to a situation where the government did not allow the opposition to have rallies. You need to go to the chief. The things you needed to do to hold a rally. So in my neck of the woods, what politicians would do, they'd go to funerals.
And churches.
And when they went to funerals, there's a term they used. Their fight was against Kanu. So they'd say when somebody comes with money, it is taxpayers' money. So the term taxpayer became associated with money that was being given. All right? Now, they then went further and said, if they give you money, take it. Just don't vote. I have lived to see the effect of that campaigning over a sustained period of time. Money as a co-conspirator in the process of politicking was introduced. It got entrenched. Now it has become a dragon.
True.
Because it obfuscates everything else. It confuses everything else. Even when you know you have an agenda that people will want, the first thing they ask you, so unatupatia nini? So when someone says take money, my advice is don't take the money. Even if you need it, don't, because you are selling something far, far more worthwhile than you think. They don't need to take your ID for you to have. So you're actually selling a birthright. When these MPs take money to do whatever it is they do, that's what they're doing to us. We've given you a certain authority. You are selling that authority we've given to you. And you haven't asked our permission to sell it. You're selling it. And the consequences are what we see. Parliament should be doing what we're talking about here, checking the executive. We have this conversation because they don't. If they did what they're supposed to do, believe me, the executive would behave. But the executive knows that there is a price which if they pay, they can do what they want. So essentially they're rolling back the very essence of the Constitution, which sought to really separate powers literally and to ensure that the check and balance between the three arms of government actually exists. So the greater crime is that they're rolling back the gains that the Constitution intended. And they're doing it deliberately for the pittance that they supposedly earn over a short period of time. Now, the narrative of not having money, the question that I promised I was going to ask, I want to ask it now.
You've come for me.
No.
The jugular.
No, it's not the jugular. It is a question that I want to ask because it is a question that I think we need to talk about. How do you sell a narrative that gets to the heart of the people? Because you know your own people. That gets to the heart of the people and which is strong enough to negate the influence of money.
Before I answer your question, I spoke about the issue of money. The other thing is the conflict of interest, where you find our leaders are conflicted in terms of the elected leaders are doing business with government, and again they are oversighting the government. So the tokenism agenda, and you saw that the anti-money laundering bill, when it passed, the president hit the roof.
Okay.
And now they are now exposing each other that una pesa inakujanga na ile ijafika because now they are being put on the spotlight.
Okay.
To answer City's question, the Kenyan voter should know that their vote has consequences for the next 5 years. So that decision you are going to make on the election day, it should not be about the 1,000 you've been given. It should not be about the person of our tribe. It should not be about a political whatever. It's about the health system. It's about the future of your children education. For example, like now, I went to a school in Akel in Kajiado North, and they were saying that we are now in third term. The only money they have received as capitation is 40% out of 60. A school was supposed to get 2.1 million. They only found 60,000. Now children are being asked to get money for the lockers, for remedios. Teachers are doing right, left, and center to try to run the schools, and the suppliers are taking them to court. The children's education future is in jeopardy. Their health system is in jeopardy when they have the wrong leadership. So to answer your question is the decision they make come August 2027 will not be about a tribe, should not be about a political party.
It's about
it should be
future.
about their road, the next road, the security of their children, whether they are going to express their right freely and safe, the health sector, whether they are going to get the right medical treatment. Basically, that's it. So when I say I am vying for the senatorial candidate of Kajiado County, I want to come and ensure that the system is working and the rule of law and the future, whether you're going to sleep well or not. You see now we have government-sponsored goons.
Yes.
Even they are now fighting each other. You either join their group or they kill you. You see now whether it will depend whether you are a young person, youth, will be recruited to a gang tomorrow. So it's that serious. It's very serious. It's not something just to say 1 term, 2 term. No.
City, I don't know if you've been answered.
He has. I'd like to know what the presidential candidate has to say, because it's a fundamental question.
And as you answer that, please, the issue of how you're going to fund your campaign.
Yes, I think before going to City's question, I'll start with your question. You know, we live in a country where sometimes people talk about things which make zero sense. You know, like the joke, I started my chicken business with one feather. Like, because when we look at the source of people's money, there is no explainable way of explaining where that money came from. I remember I was once watching a TV interview, and someone, a political analyst, said there was this guy who was asked, how did you make your billions? And the guy said, I had a bakery. Then the political analyst asked, you must have baked a really big bread to become a billionaire through running a bakery. Like, and we have normalized this mediocrity such that people who we know have not done any legitimate work can suddenly appear out of the blues with billions of money, billions of shillings, and influence society in such a huge way, including influencing political processes in this country. When it comes to the question of funding, I think we have to reset our politics and anchor it around ideas, like I said earlier. Anchor it around our material realities. Start talking about, like Mheshimiwa said, Mheshimiwa Kanchori, issues like healthcare, education. And I know there's a lot of people who've attempted this, but we have to remember that before what City mentioned the introduction of money politics in the country. That before the introduction of money politics, there is a time when there was actual politics in the country, and people would get voted in whether they had money or didn't have money. The money aspect was introduced to dumb down the level of politics, and it gained traction, especially in the 92 election and probably the election, the Mlolongo one, 88 or something. I think that's where like money really becomes a huge factor in the national politics. And part of the responsibility that we have in this day and age is to negate this backward type of politics and try reset the national politics. And so when it comes to what we will do, I think with regard to funding, one is to crowdfund. Even during the ongoing processes last year and this year, a lot of the comrades who've been in court, in jail, young people have come together and put money together and paid their bails, punitive bail terms, which shows that if there are fundamental questions on the table, questions around freedom, questions around dignity, Kenyans are actually willing to give their own resources to further these processes. And so I think even with the kind of politics we want to engage in, we really have to reset and also take advantage of these mechanisms which we have seen that can actually work, and use them to finance our political processes. Because if we agree to be financed by the same cartels which we want to fight, like many politicians do, many of the large parties in this country, Sankara said, he who feeds you controls you. Then we will not have made a step forward. We will have actually gotten into their trap. And so we have to distance ourselves.
All right.
When you talk about the ills of this country and you quantify them into Kenya shillings and the billions and trillions of it, how many people do you know of who actually understand what a billion shillings is? And
very few.
And how to relate a billion shillings to your everyday life?
Very few. Okay. A billion shillings is over maybe 500 primary schools.
It's 1,000 million.
Yeah, it's 1,000 million. That
yes.
A few hundred primary schools.
You see the
100 million.
It's 1,000 million. It's 1,000 million.
1,000 million.
Yes. There is an individual whom I interviewed on many occasions, who talked about something that most people seem to, it's a message that doesn't seem to have sunk. He speaks of, there's one subject, ODS debt. And he refers to monies that we pay over time and monies which, despite our paying, the debt still remains the same. Then he talks about monies that were borrowed, and yet some of that money didn't even reach the consolidated account. So you really wonder, the consolidated fund, so you wonder if the money didn't come to the country and it's a debt that the government is paying, and the government is paying with our money, why are we paying it? Why isn't the people who borrowed that money, why aren't we saying, guys, you used our name to borrow this money, but you're the one who took the money, so please pay for it. The reason why I'm bringing this argument is this. I am positioning a discussion around what ails us and some of the things that we need to understand regarding what can be done. If, despite everything that we see and say about the theft and the plundering of our resources, and the country is still ongoing, if we see the debts that we have and which are questioned, and despite everything else, the debts are being paid, Does it not tell you, therefore, that we actually have money that we can actually use to run our own country without borrowing?
We have more than enough money in this country.
We actually, because we should have gone under by now.
And you see, CT, we have a lot of wastage and corruption. Because irresponsible leadership, bad manners, to say the least. It's just like having a watchman down here who you're expecting to protect you, and he's compromised. He's compromised to allow destruction of the entire station like this, or a building or a bank. That's exactly what our leaders are doing. Oversight. Because an elected leader has 3 roles: oversight, legislation, and representation.
Period.
When they go there to represent their own issues, and I think back again to answer your question, when we have selfish leaders who are just thinking about the next election and their stomach, so the whole country and the future generation fails. How on earth do you have a country where we borrow money, that money is not put into the consolidated fund, and it is accounted as a debt
which the country must pay for,
and you still say we have a country, and you still have people having the audacity to say that we are doing something?
You remember your Eurobond.
Unaona kama this SHA, when you hear 10 billion has been lost and the facilities have been closed, first we will have been given an investigation. Where has this money gone? Because it has not gone to the air. It must have gone to an account somewhere.
Well, it's not lost per se, but then wakasema mkono wa serikali ni mrefu. But
no, the point Mheshimiwa is raising is an extremely valid one. I mean, consider how do you juxtapose the amounts of monies which we know are misappropriated, because it's our leaders who have told us, and the government entities that deal with such things have confirmed. How do you get the citizenry to understand what this money means to their lives? An example that I would give, again, I have to go back to the Kibaki era. The free education we speak of, there were sponsors. There was the British government, there were other entities that came in to sponsor, but it existed. What is the average amount that a citizen would pay for primary school if it is not free? What is the amount?
On average.
On average. Government, I'm talking about not private. Government.
22,900.
22,900. That's what you pay for primary school per term, isn't it?
Yes.
So if a parent has 3 children, most parents have 3 children or 4. Let's give it 3, all right? 22,000, that's 66, around 67,000. Okay, per term. Now, if the government says there's free education, that is 67,000 shillings you have. Immediately, because you don't have to spend it on education. So it means that's money you have for doing other things. Let's go to health. When people fall ill, there is money you will pay. That's why there are all these arambes on WhatsApp. Okay? If indeed this system that we're speaking of, we removed this system that teachers have, so the military have, the MPs have, and everybody is under SHA, literally. The resources are under SHA, so everybody uses SHA. All these bills that we hear people having to pay through Harambes, that money would not be spent. It is money you have. So if we average, let's say that a household, together with their friends, people go around spending maybe 10,000 shillings a month on average on health. Maybe you're not sick, but what you end up contributing on other people is 10,000. You do the maths, that's money you have. If it's money you have, then it means it's money you can spend. Now, when it's money you can spend, it has a direct impact on your life and your lifestyle and your livelihood. Direct. It is the reason why you saw in the Kibaki era the economy literally booming and you could feel it. The reason why you could feel it is because people had money. Then he did another twist, made money accessible through the banks. How did he do this? His government didn't borrow the way these Uhuru and Ruto's government borrow from financial institutions. and other institutions that have money. Now, only 5%, and he created that particular policy, could be borrowed for our development, which means 95% we raised locally. It's an example that happened here, not in the
Singapore.
previous. It happened right here, and we witnessed it, and a lot of things changed. What is equally strange is that the Moi era that I've heard people speaking extremely negatively about as though nothing good happened, that's the era where the number of schools in the country actually increased. That's the era in which universities in the country increased. So the human resource abundance that we now talk about actually emanated from that particular era. But what is also strange about that era, despite the Bretton Woods institutions interference and what have you, there was money in the country. That's a really strange thing.
You'll even collect 100 bob, 500.
There was money. The circulation of money was very good in the country. And that is the reason why people could go about their businesses. One of the things that those institutions did when they told us the government has no business having houses, giving people houses and so forth, people were offered golden handshakes. So you found people at the age of 40 retiring. Now, the inadvertent effect was that the so-called informal sector certainly had an injection of people who were very well educated, people who understood. And we see how the informal sector has metamorphosized. It starts off with a place where you choma nyama, there's a baba. Then there's something else. Now we have a petrol station which had a convenience shop. Now you have almost a near shopping center. I'm simply trying to say that certain things started happening inadvertently. It was not as though it was planned, but the brains that were there realized, I'm not going to starve. I need to do something different.
I have just a slight addition to what you say, your initial question. We have more than enough money and enough resources in this country, whether it's financial resources, whether it's human resources. And we have to recognize that language in itself is a weapon. Language is a weapon, and that is why when you initially asked what 1 billion shillings can do, I was trying to do my calculations, and I saw, if for example, this is an arbitrary figure, if you have, let's say it costs 50 million to build a school, you can build 20 schools using 1 billion shillings. Assuming that each school has 800 pupils, that's 16,000 kids in school, at least at the infrastructural level. And now you only need to facilitate, have teachers and desks and whatnot in that school. But the levels of theft in this country are so ludicrous and have been normalized such that every other day we hear a new story, a new news item about 1 billion shillings that's been stolen, 5 billion shillings, such that in the imagination of the people, 1 billion shillings has almost become like something normal. But like you said, no one really knows how much it is and what it can do for this country. And so I think, given how the allocations are made to different government departments and the pilferage that happens in those departments, whether it's in education, health, after paying taxes, like you mentioned, we still go ahead and pay for these services. Security. The police should provide security to neighborhoods and across the country. You still have to hire a guard to ensure you have security.
You start by building a wall.
Building a wall, hiring a guard. You pay the council levies and everything. You still have to pay a private entity in most instances to collect the garbage. So what happens is that after already being overtaxed, you again subsidize the government. You subsidize the corruption of the government by paying these extra levies. And so I think what we really need to do is to come up with a mechanism through which we can end the corruption of this country. And I think corruption has been normalized and made so cheap and so acceptable such that everyone feels they can steal and get away with it. We need to really have punitive
now not
measures.
Corruption. That's impunity.
Impunity, okay.
When people think that it's a free passage to wrongdoing and there's justification for it, you see, if the citizenry can understand, even at a county level, that you really don't need to do much this money we get is quite adequate. But this is how we need to go about it. You see, when money is spent in an economy, wealth is created. When wealth is created, this government that wants money for taxes, they have more avenues of collecting money through the businesses and through the individuals who earn from this. So the money that they keep looking for and keep wanting to borrow would be readily available locally, simply because you have made it possible by doing what the money you borrowed was supposed to do in the first place. Because when someone tells me we have a total debt of 11 trillion, Haki, I do not see what 11 trillion has done in this country. It doesn't matter how I look. Do you see it?
You see, City, I was told that since the inception of devolution, we have sent 3.6 trillion to the counties. We need to do an audit of that to ascertain the real impact of 3.6 trillion. I don't know how many millions are those inside 3.6 trillion.
Let's start with a billion. A billion is 1,000 million. Now, trillion is 1,000 of that B I've just mentioned. So, when you start with a million, every time you want to understand the progression, just give it 1,000, and then you suddenly have you understand what could happen.
So it's 1,000 millions.
You can imagine now. So, to date, we've sent 3.6 trillion.
Yes.
To the counties.
Yes.
The IBC budget for 2027, they are saying is 61.7 billion. That's to run one day's activity. And I agree with you, paying taxes in this country is not a problem. You remember I was very active during Kibaki's time when they were saying kulipa ushuru ni kujitegemea. And you actually excited, you will run to the cyber to get a KRA pin. I remember that time I ran to the cyber just to feel patriotic that I have a KRA pin for me to be able to pay taxes. It was very patriotic to pay taxes. And you will see what those taxes were going to do. But now it feels like they are policing us to pay the taxes, our duty. Because what they are collecting, when you hear 118 billion capitation money for last financial year was not paid, and it was recurring, it was budgeted, it has disappeared now.
By the way, that money, once it's not paid, don't think you can claim it the next year.
It's a recurring, so it has disappeared.
It's done. That one,
and nobody's coming to tell us where that money went. Why was it not paid in the right time? And you see, the Minister of Education who announces when the schools are supposed to open, this money is budgeted. So 1.8 billion has just gone. And again, you hear the one that was paid went to ghost schools again.
While we are on the issue of spirits and ghosts, let's give it a little more momentum. It's you have spiritual schools, ghosts, kabisa. You have spiritual students who don't exist. You have spiritual teachers. It is a very neat, organized, and you wonder.
These actually are the economic terrorists.
Yes, you have a Ministry of Education who have an inspectorate. What on earth do they do? These are the things they're supposed to look at. What do they do? How do you even license a school? The process of licensing is a school, my friend, it's very rigorous. So how do you get to a point where there's a school in the system which haki doesn't exist on earth, even in heaven? Oh yes, that's the whole point.
Billions of money.
A school has to have teachers, and a school has to have students.
And those ones don't miss money. Their money go there fast.
As we put in Kiswahili ni biashara ya watu.
And guess what? Those ghost schools are also polling stations come 2027.
Yes. Which is why we also have ghost voters in this country.
Oh yes.
We've even seen emergence of ghost police stations. And so, in the 80s, there is a writer, Dirie, a Somali writer who wrote a short story, Government by Magic Spell. Government by Magic Spell. That is where Kenya is, because the economic abracadabra, because the economic philosophy of the government is beg, borrow, steal. And then the cycle repeats itself. And it replicates itself again on the economic scene. And there is a lot of political abracadabra and political gymnastics and theatrics in between to obscure us, to obscure like people's imagination. And we are so inundated because we are from crisis after crisis. no 2 days can pass without a huge crisis in this country, whether real or manufactured. And like you are pumped with so much information and so much crisis that you almost fail to keep track of everything that's happening. And I think it's all very deliberate. That is why we need a reset of this country.
So yesterday, we celebrated Katiba Day. In your opinion, do you feel like Katiba iko mali nafaa kukua? Is there anything that needs to be probably minused or added?
I think Katiba is quite a progressive document. We need to. It might have some weaknesses in it, but we first need to implement its strengths before we can rescue it from its weaknesses. The political elite, the political class in this country have ganged up, like City mentioned earlier, to make sure that this Katiba is never fully implemented. Because if it is fully implemented, then a lot of the things we've been discussing on this show would not be happening. If you strengthen the independent institutions, for example, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights is severely underfunded. IBC, I'm shocked. Mheshimiwa said IBC is asking for 67 billion for an election. Every election year, they're asking for new money. What happens to those previous systems?
Because those systems and the equipment is obsolete.
67 billion,
my friend.
I can't imagine.
You buy a car, it's equipment. It lasts years and years and years depending on maintenance. So you're telling me that this equipment that you use has an expiry date of 5 years.
One election, actually, after the election, that equipment is and the software also is null and void.
And if they buy this equipment, including computers, when they dispose of it, where does that money go? 67 billion. This money can buy a land as the size of Rwanda.
There's a country we gave our Kim's kits. Do you guys? I can't. It's an African country.
I think it was Burundi.
Sikumbuki ni
I
gani?
think it was Burundi.
But there's a country and we
sure.
gave them for free. Tukwambia niaje simukona election.
Mbuvi, you know these things are procurement system.
Yep.
And you know when people come to government, this funding that people use in the campaigns, they come and recoup it back. And IBC is one of the cash cows. We've seen the education system is one of the cash cows. The
health sector,
and you can see even the interior ministry, one of the cash cows. That's why when people come to government, we have some lucrative ministries. Barabara, health, you know, sasa huyu mzee ako sawa sasa, and even you put your chronics there. On the issue of the Katiba, for example, you saw the SHA. There was a bill.
You've left land.
And land. You saw somebody took a bill to Parliament to ensure that all our MPs, there is a mandatory requirement that they are all under SHA. And I don't know how that escaped.
I think it was Jalango.
And it was dropped. It didn't even...
that wasn't going to go very far. No.
Why are MPs not under this SHA? Actually, it should not be even something for them to decide. It should be automatic. It should be automatic, so that they can ensure that these ghost hospitals, because when the MP is affected, the first place they need to be rushed to, they should be rushed to the nearest health center where they are.
Yeah.
And he should be able to ensure that that health center is working very well.
Upate mheshimiwa Mama Lucy.
Unaona sasa? So you see, those are the kind of problems that we have. But ultimately, whether the Katiba is working, the separation of powers, our parliament is a weaker link.
Okay.
Because they are getting compromised by the executive. The judiciary.
No. Mheshimiwa, they are not getting compromised by the judiciary. They are willingly.
Yeah, they are
willingly.
They are weaker link.
Yes.
Because they are not stamping their authority.
No.
Our judiciary, you can see that there is also influenced by the executive on the decisions that are made. That's also another weaker link.
Okay.
Our wananchi, there is a public participation and the role of the wananchi. Article 1. Wanafaa kujua manze wao ndio kusema. And they should now sustain the ideology and the spirit behind our young people. That it is possible to put our leaders accountable.
Okay.
We are their bosses.
Gentlemen, imagine we have come to the end of the show. It's actually 10. I'll allow you 10 seconds to just let us know where we can get information about you and how we can actually get to know about your manifesto and your campaign process.
I made an announcement of my candidature last week, and in the next 2 months, we will be officially launching our campaign on online platforms, Facebook, social, X, Instagram. You can get information about the campaign and the manifesto. We will not come to the people with the manifesto. We will go around and collect views and come and then present the people's manifesto back to the people.
Thank you so much. Daktari, people of Kajiado, what can you tell them in regards of where to find information, how to follow your campaign?
I want to tell my people of Kajiado that Honorable Dr. Daniel Kanchori will be coming right where you are, Kusikiza ground. You can get me on Facebook, that is Honorable Dr. Daniel Kanchori. I am vying for the senatorial position, and I'm telling the young people, power is not given, it is taken. Let us get out there and make a difference.
Thank you so much. And also for the folks that have been commenting on YouTube, asanteni sana. Let's do this again tomorrow morning, bright and early. Right now though, tunawatch in the safe hands of the music system, and of course the news with Winnie Maganga.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul.